longest-running rivalry in the NFL resumes today as the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers meet for the 144th time before the sellout crowd at Lambeau Field here in Green Bay. The Bears are looking to tighten the NFC Central. They hope to win and hope that the Redskins beat the Vikings, a team they will play next week. Green Bay trying to edge closer to the 500 mark. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton along with Randy Cross. And Packers head coach Mike Holmgren made a big decision this week. Instead of Don Majkowski, Brett Favre, only 23 years old, is going to be his quarterback not only today but for the rest of the year, Randy.
Well, you know, Dick, it's a great decision for both teams. For Green Bay, they have a lot of confidence in a very talented, very young quarterback. From the Chicago standpoint, if you're running their defense, you rush 4, you drop 7, and you wait for this inexperienced quarterback and inexperienced offense to make some mistakes.
All right, Randy, how do you run down the specifics of today's game?
Well, I think offensively, you got to give the edge to this Bear team. It's a good running team specifically, and against this defense could be very effective for the Bears. Defensively, also to the Bears. Special teams, by virtue of the team speed, specifically with Terrell Buckley and punt returns, they got the edge there. Green Bay, team speed. Intangibles, though, I think you got to go with the Chicago Bears because they're a team that has to win this one to set up their matchup next week with Minnesota.
It's a seasonable day despite cloudy skies, and the lights have been turned on at Lambeau Field. 52 degrees. It is cloudy, but the sun is trying to peek through, and the wind up to 15 miles an hour. Well, this is a throwback Lambeau Field to the days before dome stadiums and artificial turf, natural grass, a football-only stadium, and a great rivalry and great support here over the years for the Packer greats.
If you play football, there's two places you want to play. College level, you want to play at Notre Dame in front of that great crowd. And football-wise, this is where I started my professional career. First regular season game in Lambeau. It's just special. There's no other way to describe it. It's like a college atmosphere, and it has the legends and the history of this franchise.
The Packers will get the ball first. Chris Gardocki will kick off to Corey Harris and Edgar Bennett, and it is Corey Harris returning for the Packers. And a good return out to about the 30-yard line. So Brett Favre, who is the 4th-rated passer in the NFL, will lead the Green Bay Packers offensively. And a huge offensive line of Ken Rutgers, Rich Moran, Frank Winters, Ron Hallstrom, and Tootie Robbins. Jackie Harris, a good receiving tight end. Vince Workman and the former 49er Harry Sidney, and running back Sterling Sharp and Sanjay Beach, another ex-San Franciscan. They are the wide receivers. First down for the Packers on the 30-yard line. Each goes in motion, and Favre with time. His first pass is incomplete. It was intended for Sterling Sharp and knocked away by Jim Morrissey. The Chicago Bears defense up front: Armstrong, McMichael, Perry, and Richard Dent. John Roper, Mike Singletary, and Jim Morrissey, the linebackers. And in the secondary, Donnell Wolford and Lemuel Stinson. At the corners, Mark Carrier and Sean Gale, who made an impact on his return to the Bear lineup last week. They're the safeties.
Look for this Bears defense, Dick, to double team Sterling Sharp whenever they can. This is a team that uses the pass as the run, and Sharp is their only legitimate threat at the wide receiver position.
Second down and 10. Workman gets the carry, finds a hole, and bursts forward to the 36-yard line. A gain of 6 where Morrissey makes the tackle for the Bears.
Vince Workman's a back that's come into his own this year, and watch what happens. He's going to come in through this area, and he'll break it back through the heart of the supposedly impenetrable middle of the Chicago Bears. Look at that gash in the middle. It was all due to the fact that William Perry tried to take the trip around Rich Moran at left guard, and that opened up that big gap in the middle.
Vince Workman, that was his 100th rush of the season, and he leads the Packers in receiving as well. Third down and 4 from the 36. Favre looking to run for the first down, and he'll be successful as he dives beyond the 40-yard line. That's the kind of a reckless, hell-bent for leather quarterback he is, and a gain of 5 yards with Spellman and Morrissey making the stop.
If you wanted an early illustration of what makes Favre special to this team, This is enthusiasm. This is athletic ability. And this is what happens when you have a 6'2", 220-pound quarterback that doesn't mind diving, doesn't mind hitting guys, and wants to get a first down for his team.
And the man he didn't mind diving into was Alonzo Spellman, who's pretty huge in his own right. First down for the Packers on their 41. Favre is sacked by McMichael. There's a fumble, and the Bears have recovered. And they're still going after it.
They're going to mark that down because it was advanced, I think, by a kick by a Bear player. You can't do that. They'll mark it where it was. There was a great job of penetration by McMichael, and Favre never had a chance to get that arm moving forward in motion to make it an incomplete pass.
An early turnover by the Packers. It's something that has been plaguing their offense all season long.
Watch Steve McMichael working in the center over Winter, 52, the center. Quick move, quick pull, gets by Winter. See, Favre's arm was going back. He had the presence of mind to try to make it look like it was going forward. See that? See, McMichael pushed the ball forward. That immediately killed the spot exactly where it was.
And the Packers leading the NFC in most fumbles lost. That is their 10th now of the season. And a first down for the Bears on the Green Bay 21-yard line. Jim Harbaugh, the quarterback. And he's got many wide receivers. He was going for Tom Waddle, and that pass was overthrown. Waddle was double covered in the end zone, and that'll bring up second down. So Jim Harbaugh, who had his career high with 304 yards last week against Tampa Bay, leading the Bears. And their offensive line, Troy Ozine, Mark Bortz, Jerry Fontenot, Tom Thayer. Keith Van Horn banged up starts at right tackle. And Keith Jennings is the tight end. Neil Anderson and Brad Muster are the running backs, and Wendell Davis and Tom Waddle the receivers. Second down and 10 and on the 21. And it's going to be Neil Anderson for 2 yards. Matt Brock, the defensive left end, making the tackle for the Packers. Green Bay's strength is not in their defensive line. They start Matt Brock, John Jerkovich, and Robert Brown up front. George Kuntz starts at outside linebacker with Tony Bennett, Brian Noble, and Johnny Holland having a fine year inside. Terrell Buckley, the rookie, and Vinnie Clark are the corners. Chuck Cecil and Leroy Butler, the safeties, a young and improving secondary. Third down and 8 from the 19-yard line. Out of the shotgun is Harbaugh. He gets some pressure, and his pass is caught by Waddle inside the 5-yard line. And a Bear first down. Who else but Tom Waddle in the middle of traffic, and a gain of 15 yards with Adrian White, the nickelback, defending.
What sets Tom Waddle's pass up here? Watch him run through the defensive backfield. He's looking for that spot, looking for a hole in the zone, recognizes Harbaugh scrambling, and gets the ball. But what set that up was Harbaugh's ability to avoid the rush, step up, and make that pass to Waddle. We saw Favre run earlier in that situation. Harbaugh, with a little more experience and savvy, is able to get a ball to his receivers.
Johnny Holland very nearly got a hand on it. First and goal on the 3-yard line. Bears threatening, and their first possession, Brad Muster will be stacked up at about the 2.5-yard line. Brian Noble and then Johnny Holland making the tackle. Bears have scored first in every game this season. And of course that means they have led in all 3 games that they have lost this year as they come in with a record of 3-3.
Well, what that sets up for Mike Ditka and the Bears isn't so much that they score first. The important thing is to get a touchdown. I know psychologically when I was playing, we always thought, look guys, if we can get 6 first, we have got a great chance. We won over 90% of our games. We scored touchdowns first thing.
Second down and goal on the 3-yard line. And a bootleg by Harbaugh. And Harbaugh is not going to get in. He'll be knocked out of bounds at the 1-yard line by Leroy Butler. But Robert Brown, with a good rush on Harbaugh, prevented the easy score.
Now this is a run at last resort. This is not a case of Harbaugh coming out here and thinking I'm going for the cone. I'm going for the thing in the end zone there, that little cone going for 6 points. He was thinking pass the entire way. Butler had made a good job at the very end there, did a good job of forcing up and making Harbaugh go for the little fetal curve, fall to the ground there and not go for the end zone.
A smart move by Harbaugh, we might add. So it's 3rd and goal. The ball is at the 1. They bring the tight end Jennings in motion toward the line. Out of the I formation, here's Neil Anderson, and Anderson is stopped short of the goal line.
That might have been a fumble, almost, Dick. It was caused by the ground, but the ball did come loose.
Many of the Packers were in on the play, but once again, Brian Noble was the first to reach Anderson, and Johnny Holland also stacked him up. And so it'll be 4th down.
Mike Dick is going to kick a field goal here. Some would say go for it. But setting up here is the fact that we're getting, for the Packers, the defensive linemen are stripping out the blocking and letting the linebackers make tackles, something they haven't done earlier this season.
Kevin Butler, 9 of 12. This will be an 18-yard attempt with Harbaugh the holder. And the kick is good. And a penalty marker is down, so let's wait.
That's roughing the kicker, Dick. Vinnie Clark, 25, right into Butler's leg.
So they'll mark this off on the ensuing kickoff, and the well, it's possible they might even get a first down on the penalty.
It would remain 4th down. It's a matter, obviously you're not going to take the points off the board. You're going to decline this penalty, and you're going to leave those 3 points
Running into the kicker by the defense. That penalty is declined. Field goal is good.
Butler kicks the field goal, but the Bears had the ball on the 21-yard line following the turnover and can only manage 3 out of it. But they've taken the lead once again. The Bears lead the Packers 3-0. It is a kind of a moral victory for Mike Holmgren's crew.
Well, I think for the defense, especially with their coordinator Ray Rhodes, their whole attitude is very much attitude. They want to out-hit everybody. They want to be tougher. They want to be stronger. I don't think they have the personnel really to carry that out on a consistent basis yet. But to do that to the Bears in that situation is a big plus. A victory? No, but it's a good excitement. It raises the excitement level for the defense on the sideline.
Never a win when you give up points, and Mike Ditka playing it conservatively early on takes the points. 3-0 in favor of the Bears. Chris Gardocki will be kicking off again to Corey Harris and Edgar Bennett. It'll be Harris again from the 4-yard line. Corey Harris dives forward to the 25-yard line where Dante Jones makes the tackle. Harris, one of the young wide receiving prospects on this Green Bay team, and a return of 21 yards.
And yet again, the Packers are being tested here in 92 in a game where they make an early mistake, fall behind, and the problem for them, Sherman Lewis, their offensive coordinator, says is right now they don't have the mental psyche, really the attitude to deal with the adversity and to play from behind in this position.
First down on the 25-yard line. And a play fake. Brett Favre rolling out. Making the stop, Jim Morrissey, as he cut through the blocking up front, and a pickup of only 2 yards for Favre.
And what that shows you there, Dick, is they don't have a lot of respect for Chicago's team speed. They think they can get the corners, they can get outside, they can break Favre loose, try to bring the receivers and drag them back along the outside, and they also think they can get their running game with Workman going out on the corners.
Especially as you saw in the last time they had the ball, when McMichael burst through, they may be better off going outside. Second down and 8 on the 27-yard line. 3-0 the Bears lead. Just under 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Dexter McNabb is now in the backfield. Vince Workman carries and goes off the right side to the 31-yard line, a pickup of 4 yards. Trace Armstrong making the stop.
And one of the real keys to blocking outside and getting some yardage on a team you think you can block outside on is having your tight ends and wide receivers block well. Look at Ed West, 86, the job he did on Roper, 55, the outside linebacker. West is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league and will alternate on passing downs with Jackie Harris, who Mike Holmgren feels is a real plus and a weapon as a receiver out of the tight end position.
Sterling Sharp is the receiver at the top of your picture. 3rd down and 4 at the 31.
William Perry indicating a little offensive line quiver by the left side of the offensive line.
Before the snap, false start. Number 57 on the offense.
Rich Moran, the left guard. Red Cashin The veteran referee working with his crew this afternoon on a 5-yard penalty.
And that's a big penalty for a quarterback like Favre, who is not that experienced, and this offense that is not that comfortable yet with this offense. They went from 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 8, and that is a big difference from an offensive standpoint. That takes your intermediate passes out. It means you have to go down the field a little bit more.
3rd down and 9 is the call. Ball at the 27-yard line. The Packers. And the pass is thrown behind Sterling Sharp, who is making a cut toward the sideline. Donnell Wolford was covering on the play. So Sharp, who came into the game tied for 4th in the NFC, but as Randy pointed out, the Packers have not gone deep, and the Bears know that they go under on most of their pass patterns. Now they'll have to kick. And
that's a case of just a little mistiming between Favre and Sharp. But next time they get the ball, Dick, you got to look for a long pass down the field to stretch this Bear defense out a little bit.
Tom Waddle goes back deep. And Paul McJulian, who struggled last week, averaging only 27 yards a kick against the Browns. He's back at about the 11-yard line. This is not a good kick either. It's end over end, and it is in Packer territory. And the Bears will take over as the crowd, 59,000 plus, not happy with Paul McJulian's punting performance. A kick that went only 16 yards.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. UPS, for reliable on-time delivery throughout Europe and around the world. Trust UPS. And by Coors Cutter Non-Alcoholic Brew.
Watch the normal flight of a punt should be up in this direction. This one here goes out here. If you're playing golf, it's the dreaded S word. It's a shank.
Don't even say it.
I can shank my putter, so it doesn't bother me to say that.
There's McJulian, who spent many years trying to hook on with an NFL team, finally made so, but he's struggling now. And penalty markers on 1st down. The Bears started from the 21-yard line of the Packers, and this time from the 42. We did not see a marker thrown.
No, it wasn't really a penalty, Dick. It was the case where Fontenot, being the center, has sort of the right of first refusal, and he says it's on 2. When the center says it's on 2 and everybody else says it's on 3, it doesn't really matter. If the center says it's going then, that's when it's going.
Harbaugh went down in a hurry for no gain, so a 2nd down and 10 as the Bears for the 2nd time start in Packer territory. Bears lead 3-0. And here is Brad Muster trying to go outside. Johnny Holland makes the grab, and Muster is snuffed out after a gain of only 2 yards. So it'll be 3rd down and long for Chicago.
Watch the job that Johnny Holland does here, penetrating and maintaining his contain outside here. Remember, you're talking about Brad Muster, who's basically a tight end that has the ability to play fullback. And Johnny Holland won't let him get outside. Great job by Holland, and a nice job of rallying by the rest of the linebackers.
Roland Mitchell is an extra defensive back for the Packers. And the Bears go with 4 wide receivers. Harbaugh out of the shotgun. 3rd down and 8 from the 40-yard line. Harbaugh takes and the pass is deflected at the line of scrimmage by Matt Brock. And Johnny Holland downfield very nearly got a hand on it. So the Packers clamp down after the Bears start for the 2nd time in Green Bay territory. And once again, the Packer defense is stiffened.
And in that situation, Dick, a knockdown is as good as a sack for that Green Bay defense, because it forces Chicago to have to punt, and it gives you that sort of excitement. Now they can come to the sideline, look at their chalkboards, look at what everybody's doing, and they've been successful, and they can really have a little hop in their step.
Chris Gardocki will be kicking, and Robert Brooks is back deep, and he'll call for the fair catch, and it is down by the Bears, who got down in a hurry at the 5-yard line. And it was Maurice Douglas who virtually caught that punt. A 35-yard kick, and the Packers will start from their 5.
You are watching the National Football League on CBS Sports.
Keep an eye right here on the veteran Maurice Douglas out there at the end position on the punt team, and the job he does, he gets down the field and gets beyond the ball to catch this. This ball has no chance of getting into the end zone because his body is between the ball and the goal line.
Good play by Douglas on special teams. The Packers start from their 5 on first down, and Vince Workman with a fine run is close to a first down. He is a yard shy, gain of 9 yards, and Workman has become a workhorse for the Packers under Mike Holmgren, and a good gain on first down.
And so far, the running game of the Packers really bodes well for them to be able to run this ball basically from tight end to tackle inside like that and blast a few quick ones in there. If it does one thing, it gets Chicago thinking. Because Chicago coming into this game has to think we can stuff these guys. And right now, they are not stuffing these guys.
They come out with a 3 wide receiver set on 2nd and 1. And they go with Workman. And he is stuffed, and Workman may or may not have the first down, depends on where they spot the ball. Richard Dent, who was not healthy coming into this ball game. Dent had sore ribs, suffered in the Viking loss a few weeks ago, and did not practice much of this week.
We talked about stuffing. Here's Dent working against Rutgers. Stuffs him, stands him up, and really Workman has nowhere to go because Rutgers cannot do anything with Richard Dent on that play.
Richard Dent, who's starting despite the fact that he's banged up. If he can't go all the way, Alonzo Spellman, the rookie, will come in as they're going to measure to see whether Workman had enough for the first down.
Well, I think realistically, though, Dick, the Chicago Bears and Mike Ditka are faced right now with the reality of working in the Spellmans and the Zoriches and whatnot on defense because they are almost 29 years old on the average on defense, and that's way too old. It's an area where Mike Ditka and these Bears are really getting long in the tooth, gray, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're getting.
That's Ditka's record against Green Bay, pretty consistent, but you're right about the Bears. They've allowed more points than all but 3 teams in the NFC. So the vaunted Bear defense has not been evident, and the Packers have a first down on their 16.
And early here is a chance for Green Bay to stretch that defense and get a ball downfield.
Sterling Sharp goes in motion and a play fake. Trace Armstrong is in on Favre, who tries to get it away. There was a receiver in the neighborhood, so no grounding call there, but good pressure by Trace Armstrong as once again the Packer offensive line has trouble pass blocking.
Nice job by Favre because he doesn't get the support from his guys up front. And that's what happens when you're trying to block a Trace Armstrong with Sterling Sharp. Now the plus Favre had was he had Sharp out there in the flat and was able to throw to him. Because remember, the intent of grounding is to avoid a sack, and Favre was definitely avoiding a sack.
Trace Armstrong leading the Bears with 4 sacks coming into this game. 2nd down and 10. Favre with a slant pass, and holding onto it is Robert Brooks for the completion, a gain of 6 yards. And that will bring up 3rd down and short for the Packers with 4:25 remaining in the first quarter. Bears lead 3-0. Wolford was defending on the play.
Watch Donnell Wolford close. Big cushion, but look at him close. Go to the ball. He knows the pass is coming, and that's a sign of a good defensive back. They can give that 7 to 8 yard cushion, and that 7 to 8 yard cushion suddenly becomes no cushion when he breaks on the ball and closes.
Green Bay's 3rd down conversions this year just a little better than the league average. They need 4 yards, and Workman going outside. He's going to have the first down. Vince Workman out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. Marcus Paul, the nickelback, making the stop, and a gain of 8 yards. Remember, the Packers started from their own 5-yard line.
Good job by Vince Workman evading some quick pressure by Trace Armstrong. Harry Sidney, the fullback, tries to get that block on him, but Workman keeps his head, and a nice job by Hallstrom. Hallstrom, 6'5", 310 pounds, pulling as a guard. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, you didn't think those big guys could get out that way. But they did there, and Green Bay with a first down from the 30-yard line. Here's Workman again getting the call, and a gain of 3 yards. Coming into the game, Workman had carried 99 times, 80 yards 80 times more than Favre. Singletary making the tackle.
Let's watch Hallstrom one more time, pulling the other way. Little counter play. On that play, you know, the Redskins made that counter famous by pulling 2 linemen. The Packers don't have that luxury, so you saw Harry Sidney, 42, the fullback, basically being the tackle backside pulling. Was led by Hallstrom on a nice job pulling, and their tackle is their fullback.
2nd down and 7. The ball on the Green Bay 33. Pressure on Favre, and he's got Brooks. He had Brooks open, and the rookie from South Carolina has given the Packers another 1st down. A gain of 15 with Gale defending. Right now, let's check in with Greg Gumbel in New York for an update. Greg?
All right, Dick, another NFC Central team. The Lions in big need of a win. Rodney Peete has thrown 2 touchdown passes today. This is his second, a 63-yarder to Herman Moore, who fights off Darrell Fullington, then begins the celebration a little early, about 5 yards out. It's a touchdown and a 14-0 Detroit lead, Dick.
Little hot dog there in Tampa Bay. And, of course, the fans of the NFC Central watching the game between those 2 NFC Central clubs, as well as the Redskins-Vikings battle in the Metrodome.
Well, I don't know about hot dog. I'd qualify that more as another kind of luncheon meat, bologna.
1st down on the 48, and Workman slips by 1 tackler, and finally Wolford makes the stop. Trace Armstrong had missed. Workman going outside again, and a pickup of 2 yards. There's that score for Minnesota. The Redskins leading 3-0 on a Chip Low-Miller field goal. Mike Ditka hoping the Bears could win here, and the Redskins could beat the Vikings, setting up a big clash between the Vikings and the Bears next week. 2nd down and 8 at midfield. This is the farthest advance for the Packers. Here comes the blitz on Favre. He's in trouble. Throws it up for grabs, and it's caught by Brooks. No defenders around. Robert Brooks, and a gain of 10 yards, with Stinson finally making the stop in Bear territory following the big pressure by Dent and Morrissey's blitz.
Favre reads the blitz, calls a pass audible. There's a good reason Brooks is looking straight up in the air as this ball comes over his head. This is a prayer that's been answered, because there's no way Favre should be able to get that ball to Brooks.
So Robert Brooks has now caught 3 passes for 31 yards, having caught only 4 coming into this game, and a 1st down for the Packers on the Bear 40. Now they bring Workman in motion. Favre up the middle has Sterling Sharp in traffic, and Sharp may have another Packer 1st down. He does inside the 30-yard line. And it was Sean Gale and John Roper in on the stop.
Well, these Packers are doing something they've been able to do most of the season, and that's move the ball between the 20s. They started this ball deep in their own territory. The key for them in this game and the rest of this year is to be able to finish their drives off once they get into the +20 red zone type areas.
Last week they got inside the Browns 34 times and only came away with 2 field goals. And that is the end of the 1st quarter here at Lambeau Field, with the score, the Chicago Bears 3 and the Green Bay Packers 0.
Watch Sterling Sharp right here. There's very few receivers in this league that are willing to make their living in this area where the linebackers live. And Sterling's one of the guys, along with Jerry Rice, Andre Rison, that really have the psychological makeup and strength to do it.
Start of the 2nd quarter and a 1st down on the 29-yard line. Favre finds his tight end, Jackie Harris, with a short gain. Jim Morrissey is there after a pickup of only 2 yards. That was the 11th play of the drive for the Packers. Remember, they started from their 5-yard line, so this has been an impressive drive for Green Bay. But as you pointed out, the question is, will they get the 6 at the end of the tail? They trail 3-0.
Well, we mentioned also early that, the key to stopping a Green Bay Packers team is not so much putting a lot of pressure on them. It's dropping deep. It's letting them catch the balls and seeing if they can have enough experience to not make mistakes.
Chris Zorich has replaced William Perry up front for the Bears. Favre on the audible. Looking right. In trouble. Loses the ball. And McMichael was the first man in on Favre. And the Packers have retained possession, but it's getting scary for Brett Favre with that veteran number 76 in his face. Rich Moran recovered the fumble for the Packers.
It really hurts Green Bay not having James Campen at center and Winter 52 as substitutes in there, and that's who is beaten immediately by McMichael and causes that fumble.
There was a loss of 5 yards on the play. Mike Holmgren in pretty good spirits considering that last play. There's Winters, the center. It'll be 3rd down and 14. And Alonzo Spellman has come in as a pass rusher for the Bears. Here's Favre, drills the pass intended for Sterling Sharp, but it was thrown behind him, and a couple of defensive backs, Sean Gale and Richard Fain, were closest to it, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, that's a case there of Brett Favre, I think, being a little intimidated or a little impressed by the Bears' rush there. Had the happy feet working and didn't stay in there long enough to throw an effective pass. I'm sure Mike Holmgren's making the point there to him that, if you hit guys in the feet, there's very little chance of them coming up with catches.
It's 4th down, and the Packers will try to tie the score. Chris Jackie, who has not attempted a field goal from beyond the 47, will attempt a 51-yarder with Don Mikowski holding. It is a bad snap. The kick is long enough, and the kick is good. Despite a low snap from center, Chris Jackie has tied the game for the Packers at 3-3. And a pretty alert play by Mikowski to make amends for that snap to set it up for Jackie.
Keep an eye on the snap here. Mikowski handles this thing. It's not real low, but he fumbles it a bit. But to his credit, he gets it down. And it's been a real plus for Chris Jackie the last 2 weeks, having Don Mikowski back there as his holder.
And Jackie will kick off, and it's headed for Darren Lewis of the Bears. And Lewis brings it out to the 25-yard line. Jackie's longest field goal in his career was 53 yards against the Rams. That was a 51-yard attempt and a return of 20 yards with Adrian White making the tackle. We'll return to Lambeau Field after this. Bears and Packers have traded field goals. Notice the time of possession. Green Bay has had an edge over Chicago in time of possession, but the big thing, as Randy pointed out, they haven't gotten into the end zone that much.
Green Bay's had that time of possession edge in almost every game they've played this year, but their biggest problem has been, if you're going to get down there, you don't want 3. You want 6. 3 points does not take advantage of the time you're taking off the clock.
Bears start from the 25-yard line. And it's going to be Harbaugh with a good fake, and his pass is incomplete, intended for Wendell Davis. He was open, and Vinnie Clark was defending, but well behind Davis.
And this is a throw by Harbaugh that goes into the dirt, and Wendell Davis does his best Jeff Blauser. He gets down there and digs this thing out, but it's well short. You see 3 yards short of being a completion, and that's just a case of bad mechanics by Harbaugh, not keeping his knees bent and stepping all the way into that throw.
Harbaugh is 1 for 4 for only 16 yards in his passing attempts. 2nd down and 10. He'll go to the air again, and Harbaugh drills it, and that pass is caught and stacked up. It may be close to a 1st down. Wendell Davis, the receiver. And apparently it'll be enough for a Chicago 1st down at the 36-yard line. The Redskins, with another field goal by Low Miller, have up their lead over the Vikings to 6-0.
Well, as the Chicago Bears found out a few weeks back, a lead is not real safe against the Vikings. You can dominate them for 3 quarters, but it's best to dominate them for 4. They have too many weapons offensively to really let them hang close towards the end.
Mike Ditka has that game embedded in his mind. First down, Chicago from their 36. Nearly 3 minutes gone by in the second quarter, and a short drop for Harbaugh, and the pass is caught by Davis. He's close to another Bear first down. Terrell Buckley, the rookie from Florida State, was right on him, but a good catch that time by Davis.
It's a good situation on this drive so far for Chicago in that Waddle is their go-to guy. And in order to get him open and break him free, Wendell Davis and Morgan, 81, the other backup receiver, have got to step up to the plate and become more of a factor offensively to open up the entire offense.
Davis came into the game as the second leading receiver for the Bears, who told us when we saw them Friday at Lake Forest in Illinois that one of the things they noticed was poor tackling by the Packers secondary, and a chance to take advantage of that.
Well, that comes in the impact more in the running game than it does in the passing game, Dick, in that I think they'd rather use the receivers, block on those great tackling safeties, Cecil and Clark for the Packers, and let Terrell Buckley and Vinnie Clark go ahead and just try to make their tackles.
Second down and about a yard. Bears on their own 46-yard line. Anderson has the first down as he dives close to midfield. Brian Noble makes the tackle and a pickup for 3. Running yards have not been plentiful thus far for the Chicago Bears, who have been doing most of their work through the air. Anderson coming into the game as the leading rusher for Chicago, and he gained 42 yards against Tampa Bay last week.
And that's really surprising, playing against this Packer defense that has not been strong at all. Last week, Kevin Mack and Tommy Vardell and Leroy Howard and all those backs in Cleveland just ran right over the better part of this defense for the Packers.
Bears have gained only 9 yards rushing. They have a first down on their 48. They want to get Waddle free, but it'll be Anderson, and is upended, and a loss on the play as the Packer defense penetrated nicely. Leroy Butler, and a loss of 7 yards on the play. That's that young secondary that has so much speed.
Very key move by Ray Rhodes, the defensive coordinator, when he came to Green Bay, was making Butler a safety from his cornerback position. He's 6 foot, he's about 205 pounds, and he and Chuck Cecil will hit anything that moves. They're the leading tacklers, and they love. If you see a safety with a neck roll device there on his shoulder pad, you know he doesn't mind sticking his head in there.
Not at all. And he did on that play. So it's second down and 17 for the Bears. Back on their own 41. Harbaugh will throw, and the short pass out of the backfield to Brad Muster. And they get back to the original line of scrimmage, a pickup of 7 yards, so they make up for the loss on that last play. Johnny Holland defending. And it'll be 3rd and 10.
Nice job by Johnny Holland of sort of shadowing Brad Muster, who's just a very good natural receiver who doesn't have to work on it much. But Holland doesn't take any chances, doesn't gamble going for the ball, just sticks right to Muster and makes the tackle, and still makes the Bears have to get another 10 to get a first down.
Holland, a former quarterback, now likes to get at quarterbacks from his linebacking position. Satisfied to take care of the running back that time. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down and 10. Harbaugh looking for running room. And he dives well short of first down yardage. And it was Leroy Butler who made sure Harbaugh wouldn't get the sticks.
You know there's some good coverage coming from the Green Bay Packer defense when they're flushing Harbaugh out, because at this point it is not the rush that's making him move.
Gain of 5 yards, so Chris Gardocki will come in to punt for the second time. And the danger is Terrell Buckley, who has already returned a punt 58 yards for a touchdown. Is back, and they fake. And a pass wide open to Green. And they fake the punt, and Gardocki through to Green. Penalty markers are down at the 6-yard line. Vinnie Clark on the stop, and a bag of tricks from Mike Ditka's collection, and the Bears are threatening.
That wasn't real complicated, Dick. That's where you split your whole punt team out, and Green was out there, and nobody covered him. He's standing out there all by himself.
43-yard gain. Gardocki to wide open Mark Green, and a personal foul tacked on against the Packers on a play that silences the throng.
Unnecessary roughness. Personal foul number 34 on the defense. After this is to the goal.
Edgar Bennett.
First down.
Look up here. Here's Green. Remember the old lonely end play? Well, here's the lonely punt end play. Goes into motion, almost looks like he's running out of bounds, and the entire Packer punt return team goes to sleep on that play. That was good improvisation by Gardocki, good installation by Abramowitz, a special teams coach.
That's one of the things he can do to take advantage of a young club. So it's 1st and goal on the 3 for the Bears. 3-3 the score, and here is Brad Muster, who is stacked up after a gain of maybe 1. Packer opponents have had good success on scoring against the Green Bay defense inside the 20.
And a lot of that has to do with the defensive line, the guys up front that play for that Packer defense. If there's one area on the defense you'd say they need a lot of improvement, it's in their big guys. They're not really that good at stuffing people up and causing turnovers.
10th play of the drive, 2nd down and goal. The ball is at the 1. And Muster is in for the touchdown. Brad Muster with a touchdown for the Bears, his 3rd of the season. He had 2 last week against Tampa Bay. So on a fake punt, the Bears get a big break, catch the Packers sleeping.
Watch the ball. Does it break the plane of the goal line? He puts it out there. He had it cradled against his chest. It did not. But his extension of the ball broke the plane and got him 6 points.
Now Kevin Butler. He has been perfect this year, and Butler remains so with the extra point. And the Bears lead the Packers now 10-3 on this touchdown by Brad Muster. Muster with the touchdown, and Gardocki with the pass that set it up. It was not Gardocki's first pass this year. He had thrown 1 incompletion prior to that big completion of 43 yards. So he will kick off, and back deep, Corey Harris and Edgar Bennett for the Packers. Bears lead it 10-3, and a line drive kick picked up at the 18-yard line by Joe Sims and returned beyond the 25, and now they have to separate some of the athletes. Heated exchange down on the field.
That's one of the reasons these Packer fans come to these Packer games, is to watch a little bit of this going on.
This is the 144th game in the series. During the week, everyone learns about what kind of a rivalry this has been.
Well, the big play so far in this game is watching Green pretend he's running off the field, and all these guys buy it. Is he going off the field? We know he wasn't. Watch him slow down. And all the Packers are looking the other way, saying, well, gee, he must have left. You know what, guys? He didn't.
You brought up Carpenter, the lonely end at Army, many, many years ago, and the Bears take it out of mothballs. But now the Packers have the ball, 1st down on the 27-yard line. Darrell Thompson has come in the game at running back, and on a reverse, here's Sterling Sharp. And the Bears pursued nicely to the other side with John Roper, the linebacker, making the play. A gain of 3 yards.
Yeah, specifically, that was a good play by Roper. Roper never lost his contain, never forced too far upfield, and didn't pursue. Watch Roper fight off the block from the very start, 55. Sidney cannot get him hooked. So he's maintained that contain. He knows he's got help inside. His guys are there, and Sharp can't cut in, and he makes the tackle.
So far, total yardage this quarter, the Bears 73. Of course, 43 came on that fake punt and pass. -1 for the Pack. 2nd down and 7. And here's Favre looking to throw. And they're not going to get much out of this. Darrell Thompson for a short game defended by Roper. Right now, let's check in again with Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
All right, Dick, at Philadelphia, the Eagles have broken the scoreless tie. Randall Cunningham finds Calvin Williams all by himself. 40 yards in the touchdown, 7-0 over the Cardinals. Philadelphia leads it in the 2nd quarter, Dick.
All right, Greg, thank you. It's 10-3 here in favor of the Bears with 6:20 remaining in the first half. He may be playing with all his marbles, but not all of his letters on his uniform, as the Z is missing from his shirt. Chris Zorich, or Zora.
Well, with the size of his arms, he stretches that jersey pretty good, just popped it off.
3rd down and 4 from the 33. Spellman and Tim Ryan have come in defensively up front. And there's a marker down. Maybe in a procedure call against Green Bay.
Just ran out of time on the play clock.
Delay by the offense.
5-yard penalty.
Still 3rd down.
So instead of 3rd down and 4, it is now 3rd and 9. A totally different setup here with 5:57 remaining in the half.
And the tough thing for this Green Bay offense in this situation is they're still going to throw the ball more than likely in front of the sticks. And they're going to rely on their receivers or their backs' ability to break a tackle to get the 1st down. They have not gone more than about 15 yards down the field. They have got to stretch this Bears defense.
3 wide receivers with Sharp to the bottom of your picture. Favre looking for room. And he's going to run with it and fall short of the 1st down by about 3 yards. Jim Morrissey defending on the play. So it's 4th down, and the Packers will have to kick it away. Morrissey, who intercepted a Testaverde pass last week. And now Paul McJulian, whose first kick went only 16 yards. And he'll be booting at Tom Waddle. And another kick off the side of his foot will go out of bounds. So McJulian is really having problems kicking. He had been with the 49ers among many clubs and was cut by them. This one went only 24. Back here at Lambeau Field, Dick Stockton and Randy Cross with 5:02 remaining in the 1st half. The Bears, thanks to a trick play, a fake punt, and a 43-yard pass play, have scored the only touchdown of the game and lead 10-3. And there is a man under siege right now, Paul McJulian, the kicker.
Well, you punt some balls like that, and you move that name former Packer in front of your name. If you keep doing that on a regular basis, I don't care how much the coaches like you.
Bears starting position, their own 49. They've had great field position throughout. Harbaugh on a fake, and wide open is the tight end Keith Jennings, and he gets into Packer territory. Inside the 40-yard line, Chuck Cecil, who made 10 tackles last week against the Browns, makes the stop and a pickup of 19 yards.
Cecil tackling a guy about 40 pounds heavier than him. And, you know, Jennings, when you think about their tight ends, is not so much the receiver that you would be impressed with. But he's a guy that has soft hands, used to be a wide receiver at Clemson. And Cecil comes up to challenge him, and for all his effort, just gets a big divot on his face mask.
Jennings has been starting for the Bears. Jim Thornton still out and with a sore foot. They don't know when he's going to get back. 1st down for the Bears on the Packer 39. And they're going to reverse to Wendell Davis. Davis may have another Bear 1st down. He will. Leroy Butler making the tackle and a gain of 11 yards and a good block by the right guard Tom Thayer to set that play up.
Well, Thayer was out there. That's his job, is to make those blocks on a reverse. Watch Harbaugh, but watch Terrell Buckley up here. We talked about the fact that the cornerbacks for the Packers aren't nuts about tackling. Watch what he does as he sees that big guard coming around and trying to block on him. He's backing up. He's backing up. I mean, how much farther could you want to go? You only got 30 yards till your end zone. You got to make a stand sometime.
That has been one of the questions about Buckley, is his inability or lack of zest for tackling back in the secondary. Darren Lewis has joined Neil Anderson in the backfield. 1st down for the Bears. Harbaugh's throw, and it's caught is caught by Tom Waddle, and it'll be good enough for yet another Bear first down, a pickup of 11 yards with Vinnie Clark, the cornerback, defending on Waddle.
What a nice job. They talk about possession receivers. Here's an example of a possession receiver. Right at the, make sure he gets the second foot down, knows he's on the sideline. Good job.
Tom Waddle, who caught 3 passes for 114 yards last week against the Bucks.
Well, those stats were thrown off a little bit. He had a 60-yarder right at the end of the half that padded that up a bit.
He'll take it. First down. And here's Anderson. Diving for a couple inside the 15-yard line as we wind down to 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Anderson picks up 4 yards on the play.
And watching the Bears this year, it's impressed me with the fact of how far away from the Bears persona this offense has gone. We're seeing reverses. You're seeing a lot more passes out of this Mike Ditka offense. And the run is not so much that kind of macho feature anymore. Mike Ditka's the first one to admit, I feel no need anymore to try to pound the ball down people's throats.
He's got 3 wide receivers on 2nd down and 7. There's Waddle in motion. And Harbaugh finds Waddle inside the 10, and a good tackle by Vinnie Clark prevents further damage. And a gain of 5 yards on the play as the Bears inch closer to the Packer goal line.
It is a good job by Clark, because one thing Waddle does do extremely well as he comes in motion is break tackles to get the extra yards. He's turning this ball upfield, going for the goal line. And look at the job that Clark did. He did not grab for Jersey. He did not grab for a leg. He wrapped his arms around both legs and made it impossible for Waddle to go any further.
One of the Packers secondary who does enjoy tackling in the open field. 2-minute warning here at Lambeau Field. We'll be back. Here in Green Bay, they remember the Fridge carrying the ball and doing damage a few years ago. And this week, Mike Ditka said that you may see William Perry carry the ball again, although Jim Harbaugh said they didn't have it much in practice this week.
Well, he has the ear of Alonzo Spellman, the rookie there, and he's telling him about his days. I went over the top. I went down low. They used me on sweep. I was all over.
In the old days. First and goal for the Bears. Harbaugh has completed his last 6 passes. He's going to try for another here. And his pass is caught for the touchdown. And it's Keith Jennings, the tight end. And the Bears, with their second touchdown of the second quarter, a 4-yard reception lead, 16-3.
I'm sorry, Dick. What a nice example of patience by Jim Harbaugh. He doesn't have things. Watch Jennings, 85, coming out of that tight end. He's going to work his way free. Harbaugh's thinking pass the entire way, was not looking to run, had the patience to wait until his guy got in the open.
Kevin Butler trying to add the 17th point for the Bears, and he does. What I was going to say is that's the first touchdown reception for Jennings, who really has had a fine year, as has Blackwell, the backup tight end.
It's been a tough year for the tight ends in general. They've been nicked up, they've gotten some injuries, and it's enabled Blackwell to get some exposure. But if the Bears had their druthers, that rookie tight end wouldn't get much playing time behind Thornton and Jennings.
And that, in essence, also his first NFL touchdown reception. Want to remind you that coming up at halftime, Greg and Terry with scores and highlights. Washington, Minnesota. Detroit is playing Tampa Bay, and other games of interest to the NFC Central Division.
Now let's watch Jennings and the job he does to get back here, kind of move around, and then finally settle in and get himself open. We talked about Harbaugh's patience. How about Jennings' perseverance? Starts out with a block, isn't open, moves, finds the spot, and Harbaugh hits him. Gee, for a guy who scored his first touchdown ever, he doesn't look too excited, does he?
He was wondering when that was going to happen.
Hey, I look at this guy. I stood next to him on the field last year. This guy looked like a tackle. And then Brian Harlan, the PR director for the Bears, says, you know, he was a wide receiver for quite a while at Clemson. I couldn't even imagine that guy lining up with his hands on his hips trying to pretend he's a wide receiver.
Bears have done the damage through the air, as you saw. They have kind of abandoned the running game for the passing game. Edgar Bennett and Corey Harris are back as Gartaki kicks off for Chicago. And it's It's going to be Harris at the 5, returning for the Packers. Getting that extra inch is Corey Harris as a penalty marker down after the play as Harris brings it out to the 29-yard line. Eric Wright making the tackle.
Maurice Douglas got that late little hit on the back of Harris's head.
Foul, unnecessary roughness, number 37.
So a 26-yard return by Harris, and they'll tack on 15 more.
I love Red Cashin with his first down. Watch the center of the screen right as the tackle's made right there. Little shoulder pad and forearm into the side of the head, and Maurice doesn't get away with it.
Don't you love when Red Cashin works the game?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's fantastic stuff. Gives a little personality to the game. And we talk about players needing to have a little more personality. It doesn't hurt or isn't ever bad when you got an official that's got a little personality flair.
1:47 remaining in the first half. Packers have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. It is now 9-0 in favor of the Redskins. First down on the 45-yard line for the Packers. Favre with a pump fake, and he's going deep, wide open. It's Sterling Sharp. He's got it inside the 10.
Favre put enough air under that pass for Sharp to have a brat before halftime.
He'll have one after the game for sure. One of those Wisconsin bratwursts, a 45-yard pass play.
Here's Sterling Sharp, and he just goes deep. Favre underthrows him pretty badly, but Sharp is so wide open, he can afford it. It was the double move that did it. The double move, faked out, went in, and he completely turned Donnell Wolford around. One more time, watch the double move. Watch him look like he's going outside. Wolford sits on it, and there goes Sharp.
And he beat Wolford and Carrier as the Packers have called their first timeout. They have the ball on the 10-yard line of the Bears, looking to get back in this game. Look at the grass on the back of Sterling Sharp's helmet after that play.
Well, he wears those straps on the back of his helmet to prevent any kind of hyperextension forward with his helmet when he's running and when he's getting hit and the contact that's entailed and when he's being tackled.
They spread out the offense. First down on the 10, first and goal as the ball is inside the 10-yard line. Favre, he's going for Sterling Sharp. Touchdown, Packers. Sterling Sharp's 5th touchdown reception of the year. 2 big plays, and the Packers with their first TD of the game. Are they happy or what?
Sterling is fired up. Every team has their money guy, and now Green Bay has 2. Sterling Sharp and Brett Favre.
Chris Jackie's conversion is good. And it is now 17-10 in favor of the Bears. 2 big pass plays. The 45-yarder and then the touchdown pass from Favre to Sharp.
Well, we talked about the double move of Sterling Sharp. He puts another double move on that is enhanced by this right there. The pump fake. Another balloon ball by Favre. But Lemuel Stinson is beaten so badly by Sterling Sharp, he can float the ball up there. Watch this double move. 1, 2, see you later, bye. We're talking 6.
And that ball hung in the air a while, but Favre, what a spirit he is for this ball club. His teammates love the zest he brings to this game.
Nothing to it, folks. Got a little towel on my head. I'm going to lean back and take it easy. And Mike Holmgren, his team in San Francisco, that was one of their specialties, was getting the ball late in the half, late in the game, and moving down and getting some critical late points.
Chris Jackie will kick off with 1:24 remaining. The Bears still have all 3 of their timeouts. Darren Lewis is on the right and Dennis Gentry on the left. End over end line drive kick and a chance to return it for Lewis from the 5. Lewis past the 30-yard line, and a good return and a penalty marker thrown upfield after a 31-yard return by Darren Lewis. Vinnie Clark making the tackle for the Packers.
That's in the area of the push in the back. Oh, it's a hold. So the Chicago Bears are making the mistakes late in the half that the Packers were making early in the half.
Holding during the run back. Number 31 of the receivers. It'll be 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
Mark Green on the holding penalty, and they'll mark it at the 25-yard line of the Bears. The Packers went 55 yards in 2 plays, and they used less than a minute on 2 successive passes from Favre to Sterling Sharp.
Let's not forget, a minute and 18 seconds to go, an experienced quarterback in Jimmy Harbaugh, and he has all 3 timeouts.
4-man rush for the Packers, and on the draw play, Neil Anderson is stopped short, might have lost a yard or 2. And it was Tony Bennett and Sebastian Barry who was just added to the roster this week.
And he was added because Keith Millard, the great defensive tackle, broke his hand last week. He's had the numerous knee problems, decided that was enough, and that made the crack. Caused the opening in the roster, let Sebastian Barry get his chance in the NFL.
An undrafted free agent out of Liberty University added to the team, and Keith Millard retired after a brilliant career with the Vikings. In fact, it was just about 3 years ago that he was the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year.
That's right. Sebastian Barry from one of those great trivia colleges in the NFL. You know, Liberty College. People go, well, he's got to be the first guy from Liberty College, but there's a guy almost as big as Sebastian Barry that's one of the best skill, quote-unquote, guys in the NFL, and that's Eric Green, tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Packers call the timeout following the 4-yard loss on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 14 from the 21.
You've got to think Chicago's thinking conservatively here, Dick. Just like we said, they made some mistakes like the Packers did early in the half. The last thing they want at the end of the half is a big play for the other team or a turnover.
Out of the shotgun from the 21-yard line. Harbaugh's pass to Morgan. And that's caught, and a penalty marker goes down after the play. The Packers were signaling for a timeout, but we had the flag first after the pickup of 9.
They're going to get Roland Mitchell for reaching in and around before that ball got there.
And that'll be the call. Clock stops with 59 seconds showing.
And what this does is this enables Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears offense to open things up a little.
Interference. Number 47 on the defense. First down.
Roland Mitchell, first down.
And he comes in from behind. Watch 47 working right here against Morgan, in and around. Not only did he have the left arm on him, he had the right arm on him. That was a nice call by the back judge about 30 yards away, so it was good vision.
A 9-yard penalty following the call, and it's a first down on the 30. There's the time remaining, just under a minute. Harbaugh dumps it off, and he got Tom Waddle looking to get out of bounds, and he can. That was a fine tackle that time by Vinnie Clark as the clock continues to run. And finally, a timeout is called by the Bears, and they have 2 remaining.
That was another example of that tackling style that Vinnie Clark used down by the goal line on Tom Waddle, wrapping both those legs up and preventing him from even moving once he got a hold of him. And you know Waddle's going to get the ball in these situations. It's just a matter of where he's going to come from. Where he comes from is the far right, and you know Johnny Holland's not going to catch him, but Vinnie Clark, once again, hog ties him, tie those feet up, throw those arms in the air, and the judges will give you a time.
And those judges count. There's Waddle, and the timeout because of that tackle forced on the Bears, who have 2 remaining. With 47 seconds remaining, they'll have the ball on their own 38-yard line. Harbaugh has completed his last 8 passes. He has completed 9 of 12, and he's out of the shotgun again with 4 wide receivers. He had plenty of time, and he stopped Waddle, and Waddle does get out of bounds to stop the clock in Packer territory with 40 seconds remaining, and a gain of 16 yards on that play.
Look at this cushion. Look at that area in front of him. And what's really kind of funny, watch the unceremonious way that Waddle gets out of bounds. Is this class? Is this style? Nah, but it's effective. He got out.
19 of his 22 catches for Tom Waddle have been good for first downs. That's what he's done in this game. And a first down in Packer territory at the 47, and the handoff to Neil Anderson, who scats inside and may have another Chicago first down. Roland Mitchell, the nickelback. The whistle had blown. So there is no turnover on the play, and 30 seconds remain in the first half. And now the Bears will use up another timeout. They've got one left.
And this is in the realm of possibility distance-wise for Kevin Butler. You're talking about a 52, 53-yard field goal. Outdoors, he can do that. Speaking of field goals, look at Lohmiller's going crazy in the dome. He's got 4 already today.
Well, so far the scenario is going the Bears' way. They're leading here 17-10 with a chance for more before halftime. And the team they're chasing, the Minnesota Vikings, are trailing at the half.
Now the goal has got to be not getting into the end zone, but probably getting another 5, 7, 10-yard pass in and either getting out of bounds or expending your last timeout to set Kevin Butler up for his field goal.
Butler's longest this year was 50 yards. Right now the ball sits on the Green Bay 36.
He's got the strength in that leg, though, Dick. He missed last week from about 56, and it wasn't short. It was well right, but it had plenty of distance.
Again, 4 wide receivers. Harbaugh out of the shotgun. Harbaugh dumps it off to Anderson. Anderson is hit from behind at the 32-yard line by Johnny Holland, and a gain of 4 yards on the play. The clock continues to run. The Bears, with a hurry-up offense, stop the clock now with 13 seconds remaining. Penalty marker is down.
That indicates some sort of a formation deficiency, you might say, by the Bears, I think.
It is. That'll be 5 yards, and those are precious yards when you're trying to get into better field goal range.
Illegal motion. All the players were not set on the offense. 5 yards. Hold up.
13 seconds remaining. It'll be 2nd down and 11. The ball is at the 37-yard line.
All the players were not set. Be 5 yards and still 2nd down.
Red Cashin clarifying that it is still 2nd down. More important is the clock with 13 seconds to go, and the Bears may have another play before they have to think of Butler entering the scene.
Well, they're still getting a lot of cushion on both corners here. If you're the Bears, you want to get the ball outside, specifically to the right where you have Davis and Waddle. Get them out of bounds. You won't have to use the timeout.
Harbaugh is going to run. Gets a great block from Neil Anderson, and Harbaugh goes out of bounds at the 27, and another flag is down, and that could be a big one with 6 seconds to go if it is against the Green Bay Packers.
It's going to be a late hit out of bounds, and that definitely falls in the dumb category of something to do in this situation.
That's the last thing the Packers needed, was a penalty like that to move the Bears closer for a final field goal attempt.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 50 of the defense.
Johnny Holland, who you would say should know better. And is a first down for the Bears with 6 seconds on the clock.
Mike Holmgren, normally a guy that does not show the emotions very much, does not like this at all. He's out of bounds. He's way out of bounds. He's definitely out of bounds, and you don't hit somebody there. And as Mike just said, that was dumb.
So Kevin Butler is in for a 30-yard attempt. He has kicked one from 18 yards in the first quarter to give the Bears the lead. Jim Harbaugh, the holder. And Butler's kick is good. So the Bears score before the end of the half. There are 3 seconds remaining, and it is now 20-10 in favor of Chicago.
Dick, those are the kind of mistakes Mike Holmgren, he doesn't like it, but it's definitely the kind of mistakes you have to learn to live with when you have an inexperienced, young / inadequate team. Mike has got to get more talent here in Green Bay, and he's got to get a team that thinks the entire 60 minutes and doesn't go into lapses.
And I think in talking with him yesterday, he seems to have the right temperament for just that. He's a guy that has a lot of patience, and he knows that he doesn't have the talent he had at Green Bay at San Francisco, but that doesn't make him happy at that hit by Holland.
Well, you know, not many coaches have followed Vince Lombardi here in Green Bay with much success. The last was Lindy Infante. You see the ever-dropping winning percentage of guys that have been here. Mike Holmgren, in my opinion, has got the ability, he's got the talent on his staff, and more importantly, he's got a guy in Wolf and the general manager in the front office that really has the faith in his coaching staff and the ability to get some talent here in Green Bay.
Ron Wolf, the general manager who hired Mike Holmgren, and you have to have both the general manager and the head coach on the same page.
It's almost be good if you had the head coach and the general manager tied to the same contract. Then you get that team commitment working.
Gardocki will be kicking off with 3 seconds remaining. Back deep, Corey Harris and Edgar Bennett. And an onside kick will be covered up by Jackie Harris. No time ticked off the clock, and so the Packers will have the ball in Bear territory.
See, I don't see the reason for that. If you kick the ball downfield, you squib it down low, somebody touches it, there's a return, time runs off the clock, and the game's over. I mean, the half's over. But now you're giving Brett Favre and this offense a chance to throw the ball into the end zone.
That was an ill-advised kickoff, to be sure, because they do have a chance for a Hail Mary situation. The officials are huddling. The ball did not go 10 yards.
Well, the ball went 10 yards. The deal is the clock should start as soon as a Packer player touches it, but he was immediately downed when he did.
So a second had to tick off, I think.
The clock should have started when the ball was touched, but he went down. We'll run 1 second off the clock. There should be 2 seconds on the clock.
Well, the crowd doesn't like that decision, but you know what, folks? It doesn't matter because the Packers are still going to have one play. Watch. Ball has to go 10 yards. 5, 10. It's touched. He's down. 1 second had to go off, but it was a millisecond because he was down as soon as he touched it.
Went 12 yards, and there is Sterling Sharp, who lines up to the top with 2 seconds to go. And they have 3-man rush, 8 men back on the prevent. And here is Favre into the end zone. And it's knocked away by the Bears. Very smart play by Chicago's defense, not trying to catch it, but to bat it away. And it was Marcus Paul who did the batting for the Bears. And that is the end of the first half here at Lambeau Field with the score. The Bears 20 and the Packers 10.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the Heartbeat of America, Chevrolet, and your local Chevy dealer. Florsheim Comfort Tech shoes. Try a pair and get comfortable. And by HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a jet, it's only a laser printer. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Miller Reserve. Taste what barley does for beer. And by U.S. Air. Every time we fly, everywhere we go, everything we do, U.S. Air begins with you.
Back at Lambeau Field, where the Bears lead the Packers 20-10 at halftime. The score was tied at 3-3 in the second quarter, and the Packers more than holding their own, and then a trick play, a big play on a fake punt set up the Bears.
It really did, Dick. I mean, it's a play, kind of a chicanery, foolery type of a thing where, you know, you see Green going in motion, pretending he's going out of bounds. He gets to that far hash there and just kind of stops. Goes downfield, and no one, I mean nobody, besides the receiver, Terrell Buckley, knew that this guy was even on the field. 2
big plays with Sterling Sharp on the receiving end.
And both of them double moves on a one-on-one coverage. First, Donnell Wolford gets it on the right side. Sterling Sharp takes it downfield. He bites on the move, Favre throws a balloon ball up there, but Sharp still almost had to fair catch it, but gets that one for 45. And now watch this move here with a pump fake from Favre. Lemuel Stinson is dead from that point on. He is beaten, and Favre floats it in here for 6.
So the Packers are trailing by 10 points. And let's take a look at the halftime statistics in the game. Most of Chicago's damage has come through the air, 157 passing yards, and Green Bay is averaging 4.5 yards per rush, but they've got to get it in the end zone, and they've got to get some drives going.
There's a lot to be said too for the evolution of this franchise in Chicago, from the monsters of the midways and the tough guys. They're running reverses, they're faking punts, they're throwing a lot of passes, and like you say, they're making their living through the air and through, not foolery, but they're making their living through the air and through the receivers and not through the running backs.
Chris Jackie will kick off, and back deep Dennis Gentry and Darren Lewis for the Bears. And it's headed over toward Gentry. He'll run it out of the end zone. And a penalty marker is down, and Gentry is stopped at the 20-yard line by Dexter McNabb. And if that penalty is against Chicago, that will set him back to the 10. Not a good position to start with beginning this third quarter. And the flag is against Chicago.
Illegal block during the run back.
A lot of feedback for Red Cashin.
Number 59 of the receivers.
You don't want that with Red.
To the goal. First down.
Ron Rivera. So Jim Harbaugh, who has completed his last 10 passes and is trying to become the first quarterback to throw for over 300 yards in successive games since Billy Wade 30 years ago. And he'll start from the 5.
Well, if you're Chicago here, you've got to go back to that running game. Backed up like this, you've got to pound the ball some. You don't want to risk a mistake and a turnover in this type of territory.
Neil Anderson and Brad Muster are the split backs. And the pitch is to Brad Muster, who gets it out past the 10-yard line, and a fine gain on first down. Brian Noble makes the tackle after an 8-yard pickup.
Well, these two running backs probably complement each other more than any other combination. Watch the block Neil Anderson makes, and then watch the cutback. Watch the big lane that opens up after Anderson makes his block. There's the lead, and look at that gap backside. That's when your center and backside linemen are sealing off and making good backside blocks on the nose man and the backside linebacker.
They give Muster 9 yards. Anderson is made back there. It'll be 2nd down and 1 for the Bears. And the pitch goes to Muster, and he is stopped short of the first down marker by Tony Bennett. No gain on the play, and it'll be 3rd and 1.
And one of the few times we've seen today a defensive lineman, in that case Jurkovic, number 92, the nose guard, scraping all the way to the outside and making a tackle. Here's the down that belongs to the defensive line, that belongs to the front 7. If you're going to stop a Bears offense at 3rd and 1, it's got to be because your defensive linemen are stuffing the offensive linemen and your linebackers are scraping.
And if there's one area where the Packers may be weakness, it is up front in the defensive line. They bring in their second tight end, Kelly Blackwell. 3rd down and 1. And the quarterback sneak, and Harbaugh may not have made it. I don't believe he did. And that should bring up 4th down.
We talked about that penetration and that stuffing ability, and Jurkovic stuffed the center right there. Fontenot, a little discussion on the sideline between Ditka and Landry about that play calling.
You knew sooner or later Mike Ditka would be yelling at somebody, either a coach or a player, sooner or later, and it came early here in the second half.
That's what's known as head man's prerogative. If you're not the head guy, you got to expect to take a little flack if what you call doesn't work.
Gardocki kicking from the goal line, and Terrell Buckley at midfield. Wobbly kick. And here's Buckley on his own 48. And he is leveled at the 45-yard line of the Bears by Maurice Douglas, who has had an outstanding game thus far on special teams.
Well, we talked about the job that John Jurkovic did in the middle. Watch him working against Fontenot, the center. Bortz tries to double team him. He just comes right over the top and stuffs Harbaugh.
Jurkovic, whose younger brother He's drafted by the Chicago Bears and is on injured reserve. He was a 9th-round pick by Chicago. First down on the 44 of Chicago. And Favre's first pass is dropped. It was intended for Robert Brooks on the slant. Lemuel Stinson covering on the play.
You're a team like the Packers that are using this 49ers style of passing game that sort of substitutes the run with a little bit of a short slanting pass. You've got to be able to maintain the timing. That's number one. Number two, you've got to have the receivers that are going to go after the ball and catch it once you put the ball there.
This had been the San Francisco offense coached by Holmgren. Number 80 would have been that receiver. Second down and 10, and the give is to Workman going outside. Penalty marker down. 2 of them. As Workman is ridden out of bounds after no gain on the play, and good pursuit by John Roper, and the flag is thrown against the Packers.
They're going to have a little holding, I believe, against Jackie Harris, the tight end, playing the right tight end position on that attempted sweep.
Holding during the run. Number 80 of the offense. 10 yards, still second down.
You saw it. It was Harris, and it's going to knock the Packers back into their own territory.
And another example of the Packers were trying to get the pulling guards going. They had Hallstrom out there. They're trying to go lateral. They're trying to get outside. They're trying to get the corners and take advantage of that team speed they think Chicago doesn't have. But watch Jackie Harris right there working against Trace Armstrong. Woof. That was just a good old-fashioned, I can't get you, so I'm going to tackle you. He was tackling Armstrong like Vinnie Clark was tackling Waddle around the leg, grab him, go.
Why not? Second down and 20 from the 46, and a fake reverse. Favre gets rushed, and Harry Sidney cannot hold on to the pass. He had the fridge on his back pursuing him, so maybe it's best that Harry didn't make that play. McMichael once again with the big rush in on Favre up the middle.
Well, you just can't have that when you're trying to set something up as the Packers were. They're trying to fake the reverse to the right, bringing Sterling Sharp all the way around, and then do a slow delayed screen left with your fullback. And if you've got a lap full of defensive tackle, you just cannot execute your offense.
Minnesota finally gets on the scoreboard, trailing the Redskins 12-3.
Steve McMichael is still, I think, the strength right now of the defensive line of the Chicago Bears. Used to be Hampton, used to be Dent, used to be a lot of guys, but right now it's Steve McMichael.
Third down and 20, and Favre, and there's a safety blitz. The pass is out to Sidney. He gets back into Bear territory and is knocked out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Well short of the first down, a gain of 8 yards. It was Mark Carrier and then Jim Morrissey in on the play.
Well, for the first time today, we see a little gamble from the defensive side of the ball. Vince Tobin, the coordinator, decides, hey, I won't bring a linebacker, but I'll bring a safety out of the slot. You see the receivers were set up right, and Richard Fain, number 24, just came completely clean.
Here's McJulian, and he finally gets off a good high kick. A fair catch called for by Waddle, and the ball sails into the end zone. So at least Paul McJulian gets off a solid kick, although he would like to have put it inside the 10. It's a 45-yard kick. The Bears will have it when we return. Next Sunday, an NFL doubleheader on CBS, beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. The Green Bay Packers at Detroit will be the game most of you will see, and then at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, Philadelphia at Dallas, a big game as the Cowboys try to make amends from their thrashing at the hands of the Eagles at Veterans Stadium a few weeks ago.
As you take a look at Sterling chilling on the sideline, you know, the biggest difference in that Philly-Dallas game this time, I think, is going to be the lack of intimidation by the crowd in Veterans Stadium Monday night. Won't be there in Texas Stadium to be on the Eagles side.
First down from the 20-yard line, and the give is to Brad Musker. Gets by one tackler and is finally brought down at the 24.5-yard line by Vinnie Clark, one of the hard hitters from the Packers secondary. And now they've got to separate the players again as heated exchanges occur. We've had a couple of those today.
Oh, you know, we talked about the fact that the corners of the Green Bay Packers weren't really nuts about tackling, that the Bears thought they could go after these guys. You know, we got to take half of that back. Vinnie Clark has proven today he can tackle well. He has been aggressive. He's put some good hits on people. Now it's up to number 27, Terrell Buckley, on the other side to hold his end of the deal up and do a little forcing.
Second down and 5. There's Buckley. who's defending against Waddle, and he's got Anderson in motion. Harbaugh under pressure, and he is sacked. Tony Bennett, who is a question mark with a hip pointer, gets the first sack of the game by the Packers and a loss of 7 yards on the play.
The missing ingredient for the Green Bay Packers is pressure on the quarterback, and that's supplied by Bennett as he beats the rookie Troy Ahzeen cleanly. Gets Ahzeen leaning up over gets his weight up over his feet, pulls him by, and Bennett cleanly gets himself a sack.
His 4th of the year to lead a team that has had only 11 sacks this season. And there's the man he's going against, Troy Ahzeen, the rookie from Cal. 3rd down and 12. Out of the shotgun from the 18-yard line is Harbaugh. Here's pressure, and down he goes again. And that time, Lester Archambault with a 2nd straight sack.
You can't blame these fans in Green Bay for being excited about seeing consecutive sacks. A blitz coming on the outside from Holland took up the extra blocker for a little help, and Archambault gets a little bit of an arm over and a clean break for a sack.
Gardocki will kick again from the goal line, and Buckley is deep for the Packers. Another line drive kick, and Buckley with a return. And a terrific coverage by the Bears. They got to Buckley in a hurry, although he has the ball inside the 40-yard line. It was Dennis Gentry and John Roper who combined to bring Buckley down after a return of 14 yards. But the Packers, who are trailing by 10 points, will have it inside the Bear 40 when we come back. Football's answer to the Coneheads in the World Series, the Cheeseheads here in Green Bay.
Well, I got to wonder, do those also come in cheddar and Jack? I mean, would you wear a white cheesehead with a green jacket? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, well, in some states. 1st down on the 37-yard line. And hit immediately is Vince Workman by Jim Morrissey, who has played an active game at linebacker for the Bears today. And a gain of nothing on the play.
Here's one coming at you. Steve McMichael working in the middle. Watch Morrissey come from the backside. Woof. That is an example of a cutback that wasn't, because it definitely wasn't there. There's Morrissey, one of those guys Dick refers to as, you know, I tried to cut this guy for about 2 or 3 years. And finally, I figured out all he does is make plays. I mean, he shows up around the ball. He makes interceptions. I can't get rid of him.
That's Mike Ditka's way of complimenting a player. 2nd down and 10. Jackie Harris went in motion. Favre gets rid of it. And now Favre is pointing, claiming that there was an interference call. But there is the strength of Brett Favre, that he can withstand John Roper's penetration on him and at least get rid of the ball.
Well, we saw him yesterday, and he was just getting ready to go after one of his little Stairmaster aerobic type workouts, and says, I've got to do that. I keep in shape. I stay at about 220 pounds. And look what kind of a base this guy has. He's got from the waist down a very solid setup.
They've been comparing him to the likes of Elway or Bradshaw with his style. Southerner with physical style. 3rd down and 10. Favre's pass is complete to Sterling Sharp, and he will have a 1st down, I believe. He does at the 26-yard line of the Bears, with Wolper defending on the play.
What a great shot of seeing Sterling Sharp getting up off a play like that with a big smile on his face. Near receiver and a real veteran. I think one of the best receivers in the league, and a guy that knows where the sticks are, knows where his 1st downs are, and has the poise to keep those feet in bounds and lunge forward for the 1st down.
And as you pointed out, one of the strongest wide receivers in the game, one of the few who relish blocking.
Well, he also relishes lifting weights. Here's a guy, look at his jersey. He's got his jersey tucked up there, shows off those biceps, benches about 350.
Packers with a 1st down on the Bear 26, and Workman dives forward. Trace Armstrong makes the tackle from behind after a gain of 4 yards. McMichael. Vince Workman, who is getting a lot of play after really being ignored in the Lindy and Fonte days. And he told us yesterday, he says, you know, in the first game against the Vikings, I saw so much action, I was sore. I called a friend. I said, you know what? I actually felt like I played in a football game yesterday.
You know, and in this situation has been something the Bears haven't done, or the Packers haven't done well. But let's not forget the Bears have been very inferior in the second half. You give up a lot of yards and a lot of points.
Second down and 6, and Park pass caught by Sharp, and Sterling Sharp gets inside the 10, close to the 5-yard line. Wolford and Gale defending, and a gain of 16.
Well, one of the byproducts of getting an effective running game going is you can sell play action. This was a play action pass. A lot of cushion. Look at the cushion Donnell Wolford's giving Sterling Sharp. Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he's physical. And yeah, he's strong. But you can't give that kind of receiver that much room. He also has the speed to run away from a defensive back.
That's Sharp's numbers. 5 catches, 93 yards, and the only touchdown scored by Green Bay.
And he has a physical edge against these shorter defensive backs of Chicago. You want to put the ball up and let him go after it.
First and goal from the 5, and the pitch is to Workman with Sidney blocking, and he's going to give ground and lose yardage on the play. But the point you made moments ago concerning the Bears defense and how it falls off in the second half.
Well, look at that. They lost that 20-0 lead against the Minnesota Vikings. They gave up a lot of points to the Falcons in a big win they had earlier this year, and it's really been a concern. This has been a team that's played some very dominating football, but have not been able to finish off a game in the last 30 minutes with a real concentrated effort, and it's been one of Mike Ditka's biggest concerns of the year.
Second and goal on the 7 after the fine play by Singletary. 20-10 the Bears lead. Workman, the running back, is in motion to the right. Favre slips and will run with it and get inside to the 3-yard line, where Steve McMichael, who has gotten to know Brett Favre pretty well today, and a gain of 4 yards. So it'll be 3rd down and 3.
And this was a timing type pass. The ball's designed to be thrown right about now. Well, unfortunately, the slip is not worked into the timing pattern. And Favre wisely knows that when you're throwing a timing pattern, you're better eating the ball and trying to get something instead of trying to force something and getting nothing.
6:05 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 2 tight ends for the Packers on 3rd and goal from the 3. Favre has nowhere to go. And he is tackled in the open field by Richard Dent, the only man who really had a chance to get Brett Favre, who had turned away from the pursuit on the right side, and that'll bring up 4th down and a loss of 7 yards.
Okay, here come the Keystone Cops. We're going to start going to the right and then watch the chase start. They're going to come right, nothing open, trying to go to Jackie Harris in the corner of the end zone. Like you said, Dick, Richard Dent's the only guy, and he makes this play with some good acceleration, and he maintained the contained backside and did not break down and over pursue.
Chris Jackie will try the 28-yard field goal. And the kick is no good. And Mike Holmgren visibly angry. The Packers had a 1st and goal at the 5 and came away with nothing and still trail 20-10. Well, Randy, Mike Holmgren, as you know, used to be upstairs, and whatever reaction he had was behind the glass in the press box. Now he's down on the field for everyone to see his reaction and the frustration as Jackie missed that field goal.
Well, people wonder why the likes of a Dick Vermeil or a Bill Walsh would want to leave pro football. The pressure, the intensity, when you're building from the ground up, that's something you have to put up with, and it eats your guts out.
Bears will start from the 20 on 1st down. Harbaugh to throw, and he completes the pass to Muster, and he's got the 1st down beyond the 30-yard line. A gain of 12 yards, and covering was Leroy Butler and Johnny Holland downfield.
You look at Johnny Holland making that tackle downfield, and Brad Muster is bigger than him. Not real often you see anybody coming out of the backfield standing next to a linebacker that physically matches up well. But if you can get Brad Muster in a one-on-one situation, as the Bears did there, he was working against Leroy Butler. You like that matchup every time. He's got the size factor going for him, and he's also fast enough to put a little shake and evade people.
First down on the 31. Harbaugh wants to throw again. And he runs out of bounds after a gain of a couple. Matt Brock doing the pursuing. By the way, the Bears up front, Keith Van Horn started at right tackle, was not 100% with ankle and knee problems. They thought for a while that Stan Thomas might be starting in that position, and now Thomas is in the game at right tackle.
Thomas had a real shaky time a couple weeks ago in Minnesota with a couple offsides. You know, one thing we talked about earlier was time of possession for Green Bay and how they tend to lead people in time of possessions and don't get anything out of it. That last drive ate up some time, and they got absolutely nothing out of it. Once again, they're ahead in time of possession, and they're only down by 10.
Danny Noonan is on the defensive front for the Packers on second down and 7. Harbaugh is sacked at the 35-yard line by Danny Noonan, the former Dallas Cowboy, and a gain of 1 yard on the play.
You know, Danny Noonan is the kind of guy you're going to see coming through here in Green Bay. It's a guy that the Dallas Cowboys gave up on, had so much talent in the defensive line, couldn't work a trade, so they released him. This is the kind of football player I expect to see a lot of in here in Green Bay. Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren will scour the waiver wires to try to build a base of guys that have been around and have some experience so they can get a built-in veteran.
One thing they have said is that the defensive line has given them everything they've asked for. Third down and 6 from the Bear 35. 4 wide receivers, and they flood the left side. Harbaugh takes off and fires. It's deflected, incomplete. And a penalty marker down. Terrell Buckley may have interfered with Anthony Morgan.
You know, what you want to look at when we see it is watch Terrell Buckley's left arm. He gets all over Morgan.
When we talked to him yesterday, a very cocky, enthusiastic player.
Pass interference. Number 27
who I
on
think
defense.
Models himself after Deion Sanders.
Well, another Florida State player that can be a big impact player and a big influence, I think, on an offense. But here's a time that Terrell makes a decision to try to make a chance. Right here, see him going over the top? Went right over the top through the back. If you go over the top and don't make contact and hit the ball, that's fine.
Starting from the 45, first down, and Harbaugh is going deep. And the catch is made by Wendell Davis. He beat Terrell Buckley deep this time. And the Bears are on the 15-yard line, and a 40-yard pass play from Harbaugh to Davis.
And that's an example of an offensive coordinator in Greg Landry and a quarterback in Harbaugh trying to take advantage of a young defensive back in the matchup between Davis and Buckley. Maybe his concentration's a little lacking after a mistake. Let's test him. They test him. He didn't fail, but he got kind of a strong C. And Jimmy Harbaugh knows he's going after the rook, and it worked.
Harbaugh has completed his last 12 passes. He's having a sensational day percentage-wise, and the pitch off the left side to Neil Anderson. And Danny Noonan making the tackle. On the day, Jim Harbaugh has completed 13 of 16 for 165 yards. Less than 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. The Bears lead the Packers 20-10. That was our halftime score. The Packers had a great opportunity. First and goal on the Bear 5 and missed the field goal attempt. Now it's 2nd and 9 on the Green Bay 14. Harbaugh swings it out to Anderson. Tried a tightrope down the sideline and a late hit that time. Chuck Cecil was out of bounds. Anderson tried to get into the end zone on a tightrope and couldn't make it, and he is really upset at Chuck Cecil right now.
They're going to call that penalty on Chuck Cecil, but didn't look like anything terribly violent happened out over there, but it's a case of the officials trying to take control of this game and saying we won't let your emotions get the better of you.
Number 26 on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Let's take a look at it. Anderson's a fine receiver out of the backfield, and he's extremely strong. Going for the end zone. Gets in. Dives. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's an easy one. Chuck Cecil had no business. He wasn't even in the white area. He caught him on the other side on the ground.
First and goal from the 1-yard line. Mustard fumbles, recovered by Harbaugh back at the 4-yard line. And that would have really been enough to get Mike Ditka's blood boiling, and the Bears recover. And we want to point out on that previous pass to Anderson, Harbaugh completed his 13th pass in a row, which tied a all-time Chicago record.
That ball started coming out when Johnny Holland hit him from the front, and Brian Noble got him from the side, and Harbaugh alertly sees that ball pops out and recovers it.
But the injured player is Brian Noble of the Packers.
Well, here comes Brian Noble working in here. Holland's filling. Keep an eye on Noble. See if we can tell exactly what happened. It would appear as he comes in and makes the tackle, his head gets twisted around a little bit, and the pile just eventually falls down on top of him, and he's still down on the field.
Brian Noble has been one of the stalwarts for the Packer defense. This is his 8th season. Played at Arizona State, and already today has made some big plays.
And this is a situation on the field I think every player thinks about, and really causes a lot of players to reflect in this situation. No matter what the score is, no matter what the game is, when something like this happens to another player, everyone stops and thinks about it.
And when they talk about some of the tougher injuries in this game, so many of them occur inadvertently.
Well, we've seen also in the last couple of years all the extra precautions that are taken now with anything being related to the spine, the neck, or anything like that. They are very, very cautious.
There is X-ray equipment on site at all NFL stadiums. So it is not a matter of necessarily rushing the player to a hospital. And we will try to update the severity of the injury to Brian Noble as soon as we receive it. You'll know it. Noble has led the Packers in total tackles in 4 of his previous 7 seasons. It's been a Green Bay defense that has been in flux. You mentioned Ray Rhodes now, the defensive coordinator, an aggressive coach who teaches hitting people harder than you get hit. And I think Brian Noble really fit in well for Ray Rhodes' defensive plan.
Well, we talked much about the defensive line and how they need to improve, and I think both Mike Holmgren and Ray Rhodes pointed out that if there was a highlight to the front 7 so far in these first 6 games, it was Johnny Holland and Brian Noble, the play of their inside linebackers. And you know, guys like Cecil and Clark and Noble and Holland have been making a lot of tackles, and a lot of that has been because of the defensive line not so much being able to hold up and stop a lot of the power running being done against them by teams.
And this capacity crowd of over 59,000 fans will give Brian Noble an ovation as he leaves the field. These are terrific football fans in Green Bay, and it seems that as soon as you arrive on site here, everyone has a ticket to the game. This is what this town is all about. But as it's shocking for the players, it's also shocking for the fans who give Brian Noble a send-off here.
And it's an unfortunate reminder of the violence and the speed and the power of this game of football, that no matter how long you play it, you know, as a player, you play and sort of live in mortal fear of something like, you know, like that happening, where you do get into that type of a situation.
Burnell Dent replaces Noble at inside linebacker. 2nd and goal at the 4-yard line. 57 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter. And a play fake. Harbaugh has a lot of time. And the coverage is there, and the pass is incomplete. It is intended for Keith Jennings. And Bryce Popp was defending on the play, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
And they're very lucky that Bryce Popp is not called for a pass interference here on the right side of your screen, working against Jennings. You'll see him come over around the C of the Packers. He is all over Jennings. He is all over him before that ball got there, and that penalty was not called. Packers got a free one there. That was interference.
Popp leaves the game. Jennings caught his first NFL touchdown reception in the 2nd quarter. Now it is 3rd and goal from the 4 as George Kuntz replaces Bryce Popp. 2 tight ends. And there is the fade, and the pass incomplete. They were going for Tom Waddle, and he might have had Buckley beaten in the corner of the end zone, and that will bring up 4th down for the Bears.
Well, Waddle had a bit of a window, and I say a bit of a window, I mean a bit of a window, and that necessitates a perfect pass, and Harbaugh does not get the perfect pass here working against Buckley. Buckley's got his mind off of those plays before, did a pretty good job, and Harbaugh would absolutely have to throw a perfect drop in for that to be 6 points.
So Kevin Butler is on. This will be a 21-yard attempt. With 39 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, and this kick is good, and so Kevin Butler is 3 for 3 this afternoon, his longest from 30 yards out, and the Bears have extended their lead to 23-10. The Green Bay Packers are 2 touchdowns behind the Chicago Bears with 36 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. This crowd has been silenced ever since Brian Noble was injured and had to be taken off the field on a stretcher, and the first report we have is that he has suffered a back injury. That's all we know at the time. Bears will kick off to the 2 rookies, Corey Harris and Edgar Bennett. Chris Gardocki doing the kicking. 23-10 in favor of Chicago. And the kick heading over toward Corey Harris, who will return it from the goal line. And he breaks out of the pack, and Corey Harris has looked good returning kickoffs today for the Packers as he brings it out to the 25. For an update right now, let's check in with Greg Gumbel in New York. Gregory?
All right, Dick, in Tampa, the Lions are looking like the Lions of old. Barry Sanders pops this one for 55 yards. He has 122 yards rushing on the day, his first 100-yard day since week 1. And Calvin Pete with 3 touchdown passes, 38-7 Lions in the 4th, Dick.
All right, Greg. Well, you knew he was going to bust out, and the Lions were sooner or later. First down on the 25-yard line. Brett Favre gets time. He's going to go deep. Double coverage, and the pass has been intercepted by Donnell Wolford. They were going to Robert Brooks, and Brett Favre threw right into coverage, and Wolford with the interception for the Chicago Bears, his 2nd of the season, and turns the ball right back to Chicago.
And that interception is set up by Carrier, who does a better job of getting over and getting into this play, where Sterling Sharp was in the past, was going up after that thing. Brooks does not have the strength to contend with the defensive backs here. Donnell Wolford does a very nice job. Carrier squeezing him from the other side really cut his options off.
Donnell Wolford with a 2nd interception against Brett Favre, who came into the game with the lowest interception percentage of those who would qualify. So the Bears take it back. First down on their 29. 19 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Darren Lewis and Mark Green are now the backfield for Chicago. Harbaugh's pass to Lewis, and he delays a bit and then gets enough for the first down beyond the 40-yard line. And penalty markers down again.
Jennings working against Cecil through that elbow. He could be out of the game for that type of a penalty. That was a blatant, dumb thing to do. Just threw an elbow right into Cecil's face, right in front of the official. He could be out of here. That's the type of foul they eject you for.
You remember Cecil interfering with Neil Anderson. So far, no indication of whether Jennings is out of the game, but he is called for the personal foul. And maybe that's what they're discussing right now with the officials.
Oh, come on, Keith. Don't look so shocked. That was not an out-of-body experience. You have to remember doing this one. That was not very smart.
Jennings trying to obviously get back at Cecil for his play with Neil Anderson. Looked like Anderson and Cecil had talked things over after that interference call earlier.
Seems like a simple thing figuring these penalties out at times, doesn't it?
You would think.
Unnecessary roughness, personal foul, number 85, 15 yards, still first down.
Well, if they didn't throw Jennings out for this, he should feel very happy. Watch 85 Jennings right here. Cecil gives him a little shove. Paya!
He's fortunate. Jennings, who caught his first NFL touchdown pass, now called for the personal foul, and that will do it for the third quarter. And that is the end of the third quarter with the score, the Bears 23 and the Packers 10. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Bears leading at the start of the fourth quarter, but not good news for Bear fans as the Minnesota Vikings now trailed by only 2, 12-10. Hoping for a Redskin win and a Bear win to cut the lead to one game in the NFC Central. Bears have a first down and 13, and Darren Lewis is hit behind the line of scrimmage and a loss on the play. And it was Tony Bennett again, who has one of the 2 sacks today by the Packers, a loss of 5.
And he came too clean not to have been just completely unblocked. What he does is he beats Green. Green at the fullback position trying to play lead back here. Watch 31 try to cut Bennett. Bennett leaps right over the top of him for that play.
There is Bennett, as we said, suffered a hip pointer in last week's game against the Browns.
Those can be very painful injuries, Dick, but in these situations like this, when you've got to play, they'll inject a little stuff in there, and you won't be able to feel much of that pain in your hip.
Second down and 15. They fake a draw. Harbaugh has room to run. And Johnny Holland is there as Harbaugh brings it out to the 29-yard line. That will bring up 3rd and long for the Bears.
That was a nice job by Holland. He almost got faked out by the quarterback. That can be embarrassing on Monday mornings in the films when the quarterback scrambles and makes you fall down. But he maintained his balance pretty good and managed to get Harbaugh down on the ground. And Harbaugh's a guy like the new breed, I like to say, of quarterbacks. You know, Harbaugh and Favre and Steve Young and Cunningham and all these guys now that aren't statues. They're not the Steve Bartkowski standing back in the pocket, and if you get a shot, take it. They can beat people with their legs as well as their arms.
3rd down and 10. Harbaugh out of the shotgun, and the pocket breaks down. The pass is ruled incomplete as Harbaugh was definitely throwing, and Archambault with a big pressure on Harbaugh. Let's get the latest on the Washington-Minnesota game from Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Dick, the latest is Terry Allen from 1 yard out scores the first Viking touchdown of the day. Fourth quarter, 12-10. Redskins now lead the Vikings, Dick.
Well, you pointed out, Randy, you never can count the Vikings out late in the game. 4th down, and Chris Gardocki with a great punt, sending Buckley well back to his 23-yard line. Buckley on the return. Runs into a crowd and is down at the 37-yard line by Dante Jones. A 14-yard return, but Gardocki got off the best punt of the day, a 48-yarder. It'll be Packer ball when we return.
This game summary is sponsored by McDonald's.
23-10 lead for the Bears thanks to Kevin Butler's 3 field goals. Chicago with 216 passing yards. Sharp has been a highlight offensively for the Packers, who had a 1st and goal early in the 3rd quarter and a great chance to really cut this game down, but they failed to score.
And if the Packers are going to get into this game and score here, they've got to get Sterling Sharp re-involved in their offense.
First down from the 37, the swing pass to Harry Sidney, and he is hit immediately and down by Ron Cox, and a pickup of only 2 yards.
That's an example of what we talked about at the beginning of the game, Dick, where this offense will put the ball 2, 3, 4 yards downfield on these little passes, and it's up to the defense to make the sure tackles, and Cox did a good job on that one.
2nd down and 8 coming up for Green Bay. Early here in the 4th quarter, Dick Stockton and Randy Cross at Lambeau Field. It's turned out to be a beautiful autumn Sunday. Favre out to Sidney again, and he again is hit immediately. He'll be shy of a 1st down by about a yard, and Dante Jones making the tackle. Just to show you that this rivalry has not waned at all, we have a new attendance record at Lambeau Field today, 59,435, and we understand during the week scalpers were getting as much as $700 a ticket between the 20s and $300 for end zone seats. So this is a very big ticket indeed in Green Bay. 3rd down and 1. Packers on their 46. Favre's pass caught, and that'll be enough for the 1st down on forward progress. Sterling Sharp is hit immediately by Dante Jones, and a pickup of 2.
Well, that was just an example of Sharp getting exactly where he knew he needed to get for a 1st down, and Favre having the faith and using his best wide receiver to get a critical 1st down. He gets the ball, then he gets a face full of Dante Jones and a couple of his buddies.
Bears going to their bench today, both offensively and on defense, where Rivera, Jones, and Ron Cox are all 3 in at linebacker, giving the starters a breather with a 13-point lead. 1st down on the 49. And running up the middle is Workman, and he picks up nearly 5 yards on that play.
A touchdown on this possession not only gets the Packers, but I think gets this crowd back involved in the game. Since Brian Noble's injury, this 59,000+ crowd has been extremely quiet.
You're right, and the latest report on Brian Noble is that he has taken x-rays in the locker room. As we pointed out, all the stadiums have that facility now, and Brian Noble with a back injury, that's the report we have right now. 2nd down and 7. Packers in Bear territory. Here comes a blitz. They pick it up effectively, but Favre on a coverage sack is down in his own territory at the 46 by Ron Rivera.
Well, we talked about them having to go downfield more. They've taken a few shots. They took on with Brooks in the last possession, and they were trying to get Sterling Sharp deep down the right side on that last play. Good coverage down the field by Donnell Wolford and Mark Carrier again, and Favre really had nowhere to go once his deep option was gone.
That is the 4th sack of the game by the Bears. Steve McMichael has half of them, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 12. Getting some pressure. The ball is tipped and nearly intercepted by Morrissey, and a penalty marker is down at about the line of scrimmage. Tim Ryan got a piece of the ball that Morrissey almost picked up.
That flag came in the holding territory. Yep.
Holding, number 73 on the offense. That penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
Judy Robbins, the right tackle, it is declined. So Paul McJulian is in to kick for the Packers, and they're going to send Donnell Wolford back to return. There's Wolford. 9:57 remaining in the 4th quarter. And Wolford retrieves McJulian's pick on the 15. And he's finally brought down at the 26-yard line by Frank Winters. 12-yard return by Wolford.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. Payne Weber, we believe our most important investment is an investment in relationships. And by Pennzoil, America's #1 selling motor oil for performance, protection, and quality.
Back here at Lambeau Field, what are we doing in the stadium? Why aren't we out there?
Well, we're going for that good cholesterol spike. Got the brats and the steaks and everything else.
First down at the 26-yard line for the Bears with 9:46 remaining. Muster and Anderson are back in the lineup, and the give is to Neil Anderson with a real nifty run off left tackle. Nearly broke it. Vinnie Clark makes the tackle after a gain of 11, and that's the best run of the day for the Bears.
The most important, most impressive part of that run right there, was the way Neil Anderson covers up. Watch him once he gets in the middle and he gets into traffic. He's making moves. He's running hard. He's got two hands on the ball. That's some great play there. That's a veteran. He doesn't want to make a turnover, and if there's any danger, he's going to cover that thing up.
Anderson has gained 20 yards on 9 carries on a day in which the Bears have gone to the air almost exclusively. First down on their own 37. And the give again is to Anderson. He cuts inside and gets to the 41-yard line. Gain of 4 yards. Well, we've had good action this week in the NFL. Next week, it all begins at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today. And most of you will see the Packers and the Lions in another NFC Central battle. And at 4 o'clock, a big showdown between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Their rematch of several weeks ago when Philadelphia totally dominated Dallas. And as Randy pointed out, the change of venue should help the Cowboys.
I think it'll help them a lot. A lot it's going to help them. And what the Packers need right now is exactly that. They need a little help, because this is a clock-killing type of a drive. If you're a Bears fan, you remember 3 weeks ago against the Vikings, they opened the third quarter with about an 11-minute drive. This has all the signs of starting to be a time-consuming drive.
2nd and 5. Brad Muster doesn't get much on that play. Johnny Holland was right there, and now a fight breaks out again. We've had a few of them today, and a lot of personal fouls on plays that have been completed, and they separate the athletes. Tough job today for Red Cashin and his crew in this reunion of a rivalry in which they talk all week about this is the game you got to win.
And no matter who's leading the Central Division, I don't care if the Bears are 2 games behind the Vikings. The Chicago Bears are the team you make your reputation and you make your point about in this division. You play the Bears, you got to play well. And Mike Holmgren knows that the path to the title and the path of success in the NFC Central goes through Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears.
3rd down and 4 out of the shotgun. Harbaugh's pass caught by Waddle, and he'll have a first down for the Bears with Roland Mitchell covering. And we understand now, we promised to update the news on Brian Noble, who was injured and taken off the field on a stretcher late in the 3rd quarter. The Packer linebacker has been taken to St. Vincent Hospital here in Green Bay for further x-rays. Winding down to 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter, and a point made by Randy a few minutes ago in that this crowd has been somber ever since that injury to Noble. They really have not gotten up excited at all, and the worst thing that could happen now, of course, is this drive that the Bears are unleashing.
And that's what Chicago wants to do. Chicago not only wants to take the crowd out of the game, they want to take the Packers out of the game and take all the time they can off the clock.
First down on the 48 out of the I formation. Neil Anderson charges forward and maybe a yard or 2 short of another first down. Burnell Dent making the tackle for the Packers. Pickup of 8 yards on that play.
And this, we're seeing the old Bears style offense right here. We're seeing the methodical running game, the smashing in the middle, the possession type passing, not the wide open stuff we saw earlier. Don't be surprised if we only see another pass or 2 out of the Chicago Bears, and that only coming on 3rd down. They are just going to pound this ball, especially in the middle of this Packers defense.
That's the idea for all the good teams. Take the lead and then use up the clock with running plays in the 2nd half. 2nd down and 2 on the Packer 44. And here is Brad Muster going outside, and he is diving toward the sticks. Vinnie Clark was trying to stop him, and he appears to be just a little short of it.
Well, he got about 3/4 of a stiff arm on Vinnie Clark, and Vinnie Clark just did trip him up right before that face mask. You see it's a little dirty, hit the ground. Another nice tackle by Vinnie Clark in a one-on-one situation.
Green Bay Packers, who have yet to win a game against an NFC opponent, the only team in the conference not to win a game against teams in their own NFC bailiwick.
Mike Holmgren has 2 wins this year against 2 other first-year coaches, Bill Cowher in Pittsburgh and David Shula down in Cincinnati.
3rd down and 1 for the Bears. And the pitch is to Muster, and he's got the first down to the 41-yard line. Tony Bennett on the tackle as they chew up the clock. We're winding down to 5 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. And getting up slowly is Brad Muster.
And that's a situation we just saw where you see a fullback that's 6'3", 240 pounds, but still has the quickness of foot and the mental thinking of a halfback to stop on a dime and dive back inside where the path of least resistance is and try to get a first down.
They're going to measure to see whether the Bears do have the first down. I'll tell you, Muster and Anderson, remember, were not healthy last year, and they have been healthy for the most part this season.
And they do complement each other just wonderfully. When Muster's in, Anderson plays better. When Anderson's in, Muster plays better. And Mike Ditka knows that the money time in this offense and the most reliable thing they do is use these 2 backs out of the backfield, either catching the ball or running the ball.
Minnesota Vikings, as they've had so many times this year, have come back in the 4th quarter, and they lead 13-12 with that much time remaining. Philadelphia getting a battle from Phoenix today. It'll be first down on the 41-yard line. Harbaugh going deep, and the pass is incomplete. Wendell Davis had it in his hands and then lost it, and Vinnie Clark defending on the play, but that throw was right on the money by Jim Harbaugh.
Perfect pass by Harbaugh. He's standing back here on the 50 with his hands on his hips saying, "I don't believe it." And you know what? Wendell Davis doesn't believe it either, because that ball hit him right in the hands. One more time. Is Clark a factor? Nope. Just hit Davis in one of the worst places he could possibly hit a wide receiver. Right in the hands, and he dropped it.
Darren Lewis and Mark Green have come into the backfield for the Bears, who have used up nearly 5 minutes, and in fact a little more than 5 minutes on this drive. 2nd down and 10. Harbaugh's pass. Flag is down. Wendell Davis might have been interfered with.
I think they're going to call Vinnie Clark being on his back as he ran that slant route. Little hold.
Well, you're looking at a future solid secondary for the Packers. They've got a lot of speed and a lot of hope, but they're not there just yet.
Holding, number 25 on the defense, 5 yards, first down.
Well, you talk about the potential of these defensive backs, and we take a look up here with our matchup we're talking about with Vinnie Clark. Very few people in this world learn things because they know it right away. Most people learn by their mistakes, and the Packers have had a lot of chances to learn so far this year because they have made quite a few mistakes.
First down out of the I formation from the 36-yard line. Mark Green up the middle. Green figured in the big play, you have to say, in this game with the score tied 3-3. Green was running off the field apparently to the Packers on 4th down and punt formation, but he was an 11th man, and he went down the sideline and caught a pass from Chris Gardocki, a 43-yard play that set up the Bears taking the lead that they have yet to relinquish. It's 23-10 as we get down to the 4-minute mark.
Muster and Anderson are out, and Green and Lewis are in at the back position to maintain this bludgeon ball here to take the time off the clock at the end of the half. End of the game.
2nd down and 6 on the 32-yard line. A great bit of ball control by the Bears, and it's Green again to the 30-yard line with Brown defending. Gain of 2 yards. Coming into this day in the NFC Central Division, the Vikings have the lead. The Bears looking to close a 2-game gap. And in the fourth quarter, in the waning stages of the Minnesota-Washington game at the Metrodome, the Vikings have taken the lead. So Chicago at this point would need to hold on to their lead to remain 2 games behind. But that Minnesota-Washington game hangs in the balance.
Well, I think you got to make that 3-3 a 4-3 for Mike Ditka and the Bears right now. The 5-1 of Minnesota is very much in question. You know, against a lot of teams, you would say, well, maybe that's a win with a lead with 4 minutes to go. Rippon and that offense can't throw the ball. The hope for Minnesota is to get that pass rush going to stop the Redskins.
Packers use up a timeout. They have 2 remaining. Let's take a look at the next 5 weeks for the Bears. You mentioned the Minnesota clash, which they hope would put them into a tie if everything works out for them. But then look at the next 4 games after that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chicago's got this string going here against the NFC Central, including this game. 5 out of 6 games are against the NFC Central. A great opportunity to put a good number up after week 10.
You refer to the Green Bay game at Soldier Field. 3rd down and 4. Darren Lewis on the handoff has a first down. Darren Lewis is in for the touchdown. He scored his first NFL touchdown last week against Tampa Bay and chalks up number 2 on a 30-yard scamper off the left side to make the score 29-10 Bears.
You know, Mike Holmgren can stomach some bad mistakes. He can stomach sometimes some bad plays. But something for Ray Rhodes, the defensive coordinator, and he that is really hard to stomach is bad plays, bad tackling, and really a lack of fire here on that last play. That showed a lot of give up.
You never saw that with the San Francisco ball clubs that they worked on. Extra point is good, and you know that man Ray Rhodes has to be steaming. It is 30-10 in favor of the Bears with 3:37 to go. They have salted this one away. 3:37 remaining in the game. The Bears lead 30-10. And we want to remind you that this game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Green Bay Packers, and the National Football League is prohibited. Chris Gardocki kicking off. That's Harris on the right, Buckley on the left. And it'll go out of bounds, and Green Bay will start from their 35. Chicago Bears headed for their 5th straight victory over the Green Bay Packers. In this, the 144th meeting between these rivals. It all began back in 1921. Randy doesn't quite remember the beginning of that, when they were known as the Chicago Staleys.
Blue and gold uniforms, though, Dick. I remember that part.
Actually, the Packers did wear blue in the early 50s before Vince Lombardi came and changed it to solid green and gold all the way.
It was one of the highlights of my first visit here in 1976, was going to the Packer Hall of Fame. It had just opened then.
Packers with the ball on the 35, first down. Brett Favre steps up, and Harry Sidney is wrestled down by Dante Jones after a pickup of 8 yards.
You know, these Packers are down by 20 points. There's 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the game. But for this type of an offense, as inexperienced as it is running this offense, and for this team, there's no such thing as an insignificant possession.
Favre's pass to Jackie Harris, who's hit immediately. That'll be enough for the first down with the forward progress.
Yeah, and by that, I mean every chance Brett Favre and this offense has to get on the field, they get a chance to learn something. They get a chance to maybe execute a play they haven't been very good at one more time, and maybe they do it right that time. There's always a learning experience when you're down this far.
Under 3 minutes to go. There's Harry Sidney out of the backfield, and he gets into Bear territory. Crowd looking for more exotic long plays. And as we check the score, Washington leading Minnesota now 15-13. Lohmiller with another field goal, and now the Redskins are threatening again. There's a pump fake, and the pass is caught by Sterling Sharp. He makes a fine grab of this one. And a gain of 22 yards.
And if he hadn't have lost his footing, Dick, he could have gone in because he was not touched before the ball got to him, before he caught it.
Sharp caught the only touchdown for the Packers today. Slam pass to Sterling Sharp, and he'll be ridden out of bounds by Wolford as we get to our 2-minute warning. Well, the Packers are looking, as you say, for offense. They have scored only 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games to this point. 2-minute warning, and we'll return to Lambeau Field after this. Along with Randy Cross, this is Dick Stockton here at Lambeau Field. Largest all-time attendance of 59,435, but it's been quieted this entire quarter. The Bears headed for the victory. 2-minute warning, 2nd down and 4 coming up for Brett Favre and the Packers. Favre loses the ball, and the whistle blows.
And Red Cashin rules that ball was shoveled forward in an attempted pass, and he's calling that incomplete.
3rd down and 5.
And that's one of those plays that will put a few gray hairs on Mike Holmgren's head, having a young, inexperienced quarterback trying to sort of make things happen. And those are the kind of things Mike's going to have to live with for a while if he wants to stick with this young guy.
And he wants to stick with him. He has made the decision not just for the near future, but for the future, that Favre is the man, and Don Mikowski, who's been bothered by an ankle injury, is going to be the backup.
Puts him in a unique position of having 2 good quarterbacks.
3rd down and 4, and here's pressure on Favre, and it is not controlled by John Roper. And the safety blitz by David Tate rattled Brett Favre on that play.
Well, John Roper treats this football like it's red hot. Watch this. I got it. I got it. I got it. I had it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I had it. Nope. I got it. Nope. I have. Nope. I didn't.
That's about the way it went. Sounds like a little ditty. It'll be 4th down. 4th down and 4 yards to go as the Packers trailing by 3 touchdowns. Going for the yardage on 4th down on the 19. Favre with a pass to Kitrick Taylor, and he makes the catch at the 1-yard line. And now they claim he was out of bounds. So one official overruled another on that play, and they ruled that Taylor was out of bounds.
Well, the first official by the cone there, he's ruling possession. 1, 2 in the air, not even close. And the back judge, the side judge there, the number 105. Oh, Kitrick, go get a glass of water. You were way out of bounds. Makes the proper call. He wasn't even close.
And you don't need replay. You see, and this proves that you don't need replay because the officials are watching the play, and one overruled it, and they made the right decision.
You have 2 on the play. Now, let's see one more time. No, I don't think so. His argument might be that Stinson had pushed him out of bounds, but that at second foot was out of bounds before he was ever pushed.
So the Bears take over on downs with 1 minute and 42 seconds remaining in the game. Mark Green and Peter Tom Willis in at quarterback for the Bears. Jim Harbaugh has completed the day's festivities and had a tremendous day passing. There's Willis, who the Bears like very much. But Harbaugh finishes the day having completed 16 of 23 for 194 yards and 1 touchdown pass. And that's to Keith Jennings. The Redskins have defeated the Minnesota Vikings after holding the lead most of the game, seeing Minnesota come back in the 4th quarter. The Redskins win on a Low Miller field goal, 15-13. So the Bears are now in a position to move to within 1 game of the Vikings, and they will meet at Soldier Field November the 2nd, and a chance for the Bears to lead them on a Monday night to beat Minnesota if they can and tie for the lead.
So after all that talk of the offense this and the defense can't do that, and Mike Ditka's a distraction, he's yelling, he's screaming, the heck with that, folks. It all comes down to next week, and Ditka and the Bears getting a chance to reestablish their dominance in this division.
Peter Tom Willis handing off, penalty marker down. That's Darren Lewis. So the scenario is 2/3 complete for Mike Ditka. Now he's got to go against the Vikings at home on November the 2nd. But he got what he wanted out of today's activity for sure. Penalty against the Bears.
Holding. Number 57 on the offense. That penalty is declined. It's third down.
They declined the holding penalty against Tom Thayer. Thing about Mike Ditka, say what you want, and all the polls in the Chicago papers that say they thumbs down on Mike, and of course here in Green Bay they say the most hated Bear over the years is Mike Ditka. The guy can coach.
Well, I mean, like you say what you. I think he's one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the NFL. He has done more with less talent and gotten less credit for being a good coach, I think, than almost anybody else around.
3rd and 10, and Peter Tom Willis. Penalty marker down. Anthony Morgan makes the catch just shy of midfield. Buckley was defending, but there's a penalty marker.
I believe they're going to call Morgan for a little push-off on Terrell Buckley.
That would have been a 28-yard catch if it had stayed. And the penalty will be against the Bears. On the push-off, as you mentioned. 1:27 remaining on the clock.
Offensive pass interference, number 81. 10 yards, still third down.
We were talking about Ditka and the Bears, Dick. This is an organization and a team that does have a lot of confidence. They've had some tough losses, you know. Losing to the Minnesota Vikings like that was a crushing loss. Having the Giants come in on that Monday night game and do what they did was very, very tough to swallow. But they've maintained their cool and their composure. And not that everybody else is playing back to them. They just think they've established a level of play other people have to challenge.
3rd down and 20, and Darren Lewis cuts off right tackle. A lot was made this week about the fact that Mike Ditka was upset that Mike Holmgren, when he was the offensive coordinator with the Niners last year, rolled it up on the Bears in the final game of the season last year. And I don't think that's come into play, especially considering the ball control by the Bears in the 4th quarter today.
Yeah, I think it's a reach. It's a long rivalry. It's a lot of fired up people looking forward to a matchup between 2 longtime rivals. And to say that Mike Ditka is going to use that as an incentive against Mike Holmgren, who was the coordinator, he wasn't even the head coach in that other team, it's a stretch. And, you know, Mike is the guy that described the situation as, you know, heck, I came down with about 6 minutes to go in the half in the game, and I'm on the sideline shaking hands at the time, and suddenly Bill Musgrave, our 3rd string quarterback, calls an audible and throws a bomb when it's already 48-10.
Gardocki will kick from the goal line. Buckley is back deep on a line drive kick that takes a Green Bay bounce, and Buckley picks it up anyway and runs out of bounds. Mark Green drives him out of bounds, and that'll stop the clock with 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining. The Packers will drop to 2-5 on the season, and interesting with the quirk in the schedule, considering that the Packers play 3 games at County Stadium in Milwaukee. They won't be back here at Lambeau Field until December the 20th. It's going to be a long spell between games here at Lambeau Field.
And believe me, teams would rather come here to Lambeau Field than go to Milwaukee County Stadium. That is a nightmare football field. Not many people like playing on that turf.
You had a chance to play there.
Quite a few times.
1st down, Favre completes it to Sterling Sharp. He drilled it to the 25-yard line. Wolford defending and a gain of 18 yards. Under a minute to go in the game. 1st down on the 25. Favre's pass. And Wolford very nearly got it instead of Sharp. It goes incomplete with a little bumping going on between the two.
That was a little floater out there by Favre. I don't know if that was nicked a little bit at the line by a defensive lineman's arm or what, but that thing seemed like it took forever to get out there to Sharp and Wolford.
There's the other score of interest to NFC Central Division fans. The Redskins beat the Vikings. So the Bears will move to within 1 game of the Vikings in the NFC Central. 2nd down and 10. Favre gets protection, and his pass to Sanjay Beach out of bounds. Covered by Paul and Stinson.
Something about that one little corner there on the left side by the goal line. The Packer receivers just can't get that ball in bounds. They're making nice catches, but they're not getting 2 feet in. We saw Brooks earlier, and there's Sanjay Beach. And this one is also not really close. A wonderful catch, though. Good concentration. Too bad it's not Canada. He'd have that extra couple of feet on the sidelines. He'd be in.
3rd down and 10. Brett Favre's pass knocked away by Paul, intended for Sterling Sharp. And that'll bring up 4th down. Sterling Sharp has had a big day in a losing cause. 9 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown reception, and the only TD scored by the Packers today.
Well, that's Sterling Sharp's job, is to be the featured guy in Green Bay. And one thing Mike Holmgren and Sherman Lewis, his offensive coordinator, needs, they need more support at the other receiver positions for Sterling Sharp. Teams will double team him and they'll take him out of the game. They need somebody else to step up.
They're looking for that somebody else. 4th down. Favre's pass to Jackie Harris is dropped. It was again a perfect pass by Favre. Harris drops it, and the Bears will take over on downs with 33 seconds to go in the game. Bears headed for their 4th victory of the year in 7 games, and more important, the game behind the Vikings in the NFC Central. And what's going to really please the Chicago Bears offensive people, not the fact that they've gone over the 30-point mark for the 2nd straight week, but they did not commit a turnover in this game.
And for all the talk we had of the passing game and the Bears using the passing game, they had over 125 yards rushing today, 128 yards on the ground. So a very well-balanced attack by Mike Ditka and the Bears.
33 seconds to go, and the give is to Darren Lewis. Bears also had 4 quarterback sacks, and it was the old graybeard, Steve McMichael, who caused troubles for Brett Favre early on in the game. He had 2 sacks today. That'll be the last play of the game, and for Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears, they pick up their first victory on the road this year as they beat the Packers handily here at Lambeau Field.
And what this sets up is it sets up the game next week against the Minnesota Vikings, where you've got a team in Chicago, I think, that's got a few different wrinkles. There's some plays in this playbook for the Chicago Bears that the Minnesota Vikings are almost going to think they're getting those plays out of our book. The reverse pass, the long passes.
And of course, remember, the Bears felt that they had outplayed the Vikings for most of that game before that now ill-fated audible called by Jim Harbaugh. So the final score from Lambeau Field, the Chicago Bears 30 and the Green Bay Packers 10. Coming up on the NFL Today postgame show, Greg and Terry will get you caught up on all the scores and highlights from today's NFL action. You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.